Hello and welcome to the Happy Head Podcast.
Yes. My name is Paul, and if you don't know that by now, shame on you.
Shame.
Today I have an amazing person on, Brandon from the Expanding Reality podcast. I was on his show last week, and he put that up onto the interweb on Friday. It is just so funny. We talked for like 90 minutes. Did you realize that?
Yeah, yeah.
It flew by
It
that
flew by.
conversation, but yeah, I
It,
just hadn't realized
great,
until you put it up.
great conversations fly by like that, man. Absolutely. You're just
Yeah, yeah.
wonderful, so it was easy.
Oh, I
The
know,
great
I
ones
know,
make it
I
look
know.
easy, Paul. Just embrace it, all right?
Oh dear. Now, the reason I've got you on the show is not simply because we kind of like doing a swapsy thing, but
Mhm.
I'm just so amazed at what you're able to squeeze into a week because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got a full time gig in downtown big city in Texas somewhere.
Mhm.
You drive like an hour each way, you do the podcast, and you run a ranch full of rescued animals.
That is true. Yeah, correct. And I'm a husband as well. That takes up some time to be a diligent husband as well. An attentive lover.
And it's love it, yeah?
Yeah, we got to squeeze that in there. Attentive lover. You got to toss that one in there too, because that takes up some time.
That's a hell of a week you have every week.
It's a fantastic week. It's a wonderful life. I kind of subscribe to the motto of, sleep when you're dead, I guess, kind of thing. Because the day to day. So I'll walk you through a day in the life of Brandon Thomas. So what I do is wake up about 4 a.m. my time. I get it going. I get emails and things going like that. My day gig requires me to be there for about 10 to 12 hours with an hour or 45 minutes commute both ways. So 45 minutes in, do my damn thing, 45 minutes out. It's not a rigid schedule. It's be there until the job's done. Okay. Then I get home. If we beat the sunlight home, because we do live on a ranch, and we have evening responsibilities with the animals as far as feed, water, all of that thing. I'll run down our livestock count here in a minute, and then so we get all that done, whatever that requires, and then I come in. I usually get a quick bite to eat if I'm lucky. A lot of times I don't make time for dinner in the evenings. The wife is studying for nursing school right now, so she's doing her thing, and then I head straight into the studio. And I'm in the studio doing booking, video editing, podcast editing, because there's about 5 to 7 hours per show that you, for every hour of show you hear the audience, there's about 5 to 7 hours of work that goes into that 1 hour, and that's per show. And I put out 2 shows a week. So from there, I'm in the studio until about midnight. Sometimes I'll shut it down about then, go to sleep, do it all over again, and that's the week. And on the weekends, it is run to the feed store to get feed, make sure that we have groceries for the week. Anything that needs to be done out here on the ranch, like I said, 12-acre ranch takes a lot of maintenance, a lot of work. Then I'm usually doing interviews or shows and things like that. I'm in the studio about, I don't know, 20 hours a weekend probably total, along
Wow.
with all of that other stuff. So it's a passion. It's all a passion. So that's
I've
what
got a
fuels
very
me.
serious question for you here now. You live on about 4 hours sleep a night.
Sometimes 4 to 6. Yeah.
Right, how the hell have you not got bags under your eyes? I get 8 hours sleep a night. Look at these bloody things. I could carry groceries in each one of these if I wanted to. They're so big.
You
You
could.
got none. You got none. Zero.
I am fueled by ambition, man. That's it. It's a choice, and it really is a choice. And don't get me wrong. It's a conscious effort. It's not something that comes easily or naturally. It's something that whenever I get home, and no matter what my day is, there's still things that I've chosen to surround myself with, and a
Hmm.
life that I've created that require my time, attention, and energy. So, but the good news about that is that's where I want to spend my time and energy. So, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. It's what fuels me is just the idea of the life that I've got. And they say that saying, build a life you don't need a vacation from. Well, there's damn. I mean, a lot of times, man, I'll get home and I'm just like, dude, I'm just tired. That video editing can wait. I'm like, nope. You got to put the show out on Tuesday, so you need to get not only the audio ready for the show to put on video because that comes first. You got to get in there and get it done. And then once I sit down, this firing up the computer and starting, it's the hardest part. After that, it's easy. Hours will melt away in here.
So tell me, how did you get started with the ranch? I mean, had you always wanted to look after animals and have a ranch, or was it something that came out of the blue and then you ran with it?
Always been a little bit of both. So always been fascinated by animals. Always been a huge animal lover. Even as a child, my mom would say you could not pass up a stray, and I would. I would just bring stray animals home all the time. And it's something that they've always had my heart and attention. There are two things that I can't stand, and it's that those that can't take care of themselves being not taken care of. So like animals, the elderly, children, things like that. That
Yeah,
that really strikes that chord in me. Animals in particular because they don't have the means to articulate what they need or what they're feeling. So the ranch came about actually because wife and I had five dogs at the time. We weren't married yet, and we are city kids. We didn't live out in the country. We weren't raised in the country or anything like that. And so we said, you know what? We want some land for our dogs when we were looking to buy a home. And it started out as well, we can get like 3 acres. And then the further we looked out, as long as we were willing to make the drive to commute to work,
hmm
then the further we looked out, the better land prices were. And the time we did this was perfect. So we ended up looking at a 12-acre ranch, pond, outbuildings, fencing was great. Price was incredible. We really got, there's so many synchronicities, and I'm a big believer in those that lined up to allow us to get what we have. And then it became, well, damn, if we've got that, yeah, the room for the dogs is there. We have 2 acres around the house that's fenced that the dogs can go wherever they want. 2 acres is a lot of room.
that's a lot
And
of
then
room, a hell of a lot of room.
yeah, and then we have 10 acres where the animals are. And so we actually started looking at like alpacas and stuff, and we just fell in love with the animal in general. Now, thank God, the more we did research on it, the more we found out that they're just fragile. God does not want those creatures to exist. They get hurt all the time. They're expensive to repair. They're expensive to maintain and all of that. And it just takes a ton of time. They're adorable, don't get me wrong. But then we shifted into when we bought our place, there's something called an agriculture exemption for our taxes out here. The requirement for that was is that we maintained a herd of 6 goats. Okay, goats are awesome. So what we did was is to get our taxes, and I'll just peek behind the curtain here, to get our taxes from 4,000 a year to $171 a year is what we pay in taxes on this place. So it became incredibly affordable. Plus, goats are just fun and awesome and incredible. So we started rescuing donkeys, and then we got a few goats, and then the goats that we got, one of them was pregnant. She had three baby boys, and she rejected two of them. And so what we did was we bottle fed those in the house, and that gets back to the love of animals. We're gonna make sure they survive. And out here, we've come across a lot of challenges. They were raised in the house for us with 7 weeks. We bottle fed these little guys, and so I set an alarm every 2 hours and woke up and then when the day job needed me to be there, then we had my sister-in-law stay with us, and she helped raise those little guys. And now they're great. They're 6 years old. One of them, his little legs didn't work when he was born, his front legs, and so we
hmm
named him Tumbles, which is an adorable little name for a goat. And now he's great. He's wonderful. They're happy, healthy, and everything's good. So we moved out here just for dogs. Honestly, we wanted a little bit of room under our feet, and you can learn anything. We give our goats our own shots. I'm not a vet. We trim their hooves. You can YouTube anything and find out knowledge for yourself on how to do this. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you want to do something, the information is out there. I did a challenge, one of these like 5 day challenges for some people in my group a couple of weeks back, and one of the exercises I had them do was make a list of all the excuses that they had for not doing something, and then find a counter to it. So like, if one of the excuses was I don't know how to do it, I just put Google it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
people said, that's silly. And no, it's not. Everything you need to know, but 99.999% recurring of everything you need to know is available somewhere out there for free. So there's no excuse, or saying I don't know how to do it is not an excuse. But it's like you said right at the start, it's a choice that you make. If you want to do something badly enough, you will do whatever it takes to do it. And that includes, keeping the cost down at the ranch and taking the shots and doing the hooves and all that kind of stuff.
And it wasn't even about mitigating cost. We're abundant, and I live an abundant lifestyle. I don't believe in scarcity, and that mentality doesn't resonate with me. That's not the vibration I choose to
Uh-huh.
exist in. So, with me, it's more about self sufficiency and knowledge, right? Because there was a time when we first moved out here, they left us an old riding lawnmower out here, which has been clutch. But there was a bolt that broke on it, and I had just a bunch of bolts laying around or something like that, and one of them was a U bolt. And so it's basically threaded on two ends and then it has a connection piece in the middle. Well, I just need that threaded side because I found things that would fit on either side. This is for a battery cable for the mower. So what I did was is um, I I like challenging myself with thinking outside the box and being self-reliant. We're 20 minutes away from town. So if I were to drive 20 minutes to town, get a little bolt, come back, that's 40 minutes out of my day that I could have been mowing or doing something else, being an attentive lover, perhaps. So I then took my Dremel tool, cut the end of that bolt off, and then put it together and made it work. Fired up the mower, and man, I'm standing outside in the driveway just going, I am all that is man, you know? And it's about being self sufficient. It's about figuring things out for yourself because to your point, whether you there's that quote by I want to say it's Abraham Lincoln, and if it's not, I keep saying it's Abraham Lincoln. I really need to Google
You
this, right?
say every quote is by Abraham Lincoln. When we had the
Uh,
conversation last week, you said, I think this quote's by Abraham Lincoln.
and it is. It's the whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And then
Yes.
another quote by Abraham Lincoln was "Wild stallions," right? From Bill and Ted. It's a joke.
I know, I know, I know. Okay, so we've talked animals. Now, expanding reality podcast. How many episodes, how many shows have you got under your belt, roughly?
Released right now is 13. The last one I did was with you. There's still about four more to release. I keep ahead of my release
Yeah,
schedule.
same here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and eventually that'll go to a value for value model because this is the path that I'm on to do this for a full time gig. So that I've got 13 out, but the pace in which this has moved with the 13 episodes and the caliber of guests that I've been able to attract, uh huh, has been incredible. But it has a lot to do with my belief in that manifesting your reality is something that's incredibly not only possible but so much fun when you start doing it. And
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
just seen the results of what that idea yields in my life and how incredible it is. And I just keep it moving. And every day I wake up into a better version of the world that I want to live in, where I have a tsunami of opportunities that are pushing whatever I want forward.
Let's just qualify what you said there about manifesting your result. You're not a guy who believes in manifesting is simply, please send me X, Y, or Z. You actually go out there and do stuff to help things along, don't you?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things to that. We can be incredibly reductive and say that whatever you pay your attention to is the results that you yield in your life, which is absolutely accurate. But it does come with a caveat. You do have to put the work in. You can't
Mm.
sit back and say, "I just want a Lamborghini," and then just sit there with no work ethic behind how to achieve that. Now, if you want a Lamborghini, anyone can achieve that. I That is a very simple thing to achieve. The bigger part of it, if you want to take it to the next level where I'm at, is you literally manifest opportunities in your life and you see things and you go for them and you set small goals and you achieve those goals and then you get on this perpetual motion machine of goal achievement and opportunity creation. And so what I've found is that the more you achieve goals that you set, the more goals you get to prove to yourself that you can achieve. And it becomes this spiral in either direction. You either spiral up or spiral down.
Hmm.
I've chosen to spiral up just for a visual reference from my experience. And it's something that has been a blast. I'm really loving it. And there's a way that we had talked about in the show that we did together about the shower thing that we could share with your audience if you want, because that's been an effective one for me.
Yeah, what I was going to say was there's a couple of things. First of all, can you give us an example of something fairly substantial that you've been able to manifest into your life? And then I was going to say, give us an example of what you do to manifest, but you've just mentioned the shower, and I think that's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant thing. So can you kind of show those two for us?
Absolutely. So there's a thing that's got to do with your attention, and it's an idea that was put forth. So, excuse me. I think that the Secret by Rhonda Byrne is a book that everybody's read or has looked at the idea of, and it's one of those things that I really got on board with that back probably about 10 years ago, but it didn't work for me. I feel like it didn't work for me because I wasn't doing it right. I said, I want the whatever, but didn't put the correct work or the correct energy into it. Now, energy and your mindset has a lot to do with this concept. Because again, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right in either direction. So you know, but my story is, or but and then enter excuse here. Game was strong back then, and so it was always somebody else's reason why I didn't have what I wanted. It was, well, it's not like that because I don't have the same opportunities, or it's not like that because um, those people were born with this silver spoon and that's why they have this their ability to do that. What I realized was is that no, we're all the same. We're all creating our reality. When you start, and there's a lot of spiritual element that comes into this. So I'm trying to condense this into, I'm ceratopsing this into a small little package here for you. But there's a lot of things when you start looking into like quantum physics, and when you start looking into what scientists have found out about what you observe is what is created, then you shift what your idea about how powerful you are in everyday life from a victim or scarcity mentality to an abundance mentality. And it's like the blue car analogy. Whenever you think of a blue car, you see them everywhere, whereas before you didn't. But the same thing is true for opportunities. So whenever you think of an opportunity or you feel yourself existing in a world of opportunities, that's all you see. It's been great.
So tell us about the shower scene
Oh, God, that sounds
from
hot.
that movie.
Yeah, that from that movie, all the movies.
That one, yeah, the special movie.
So this isn't my concept, but it has been something I've implemented, and it seems like again I'm a big fan of synchronicities, which we can also talk about. But so it has to do with this video or this idea came to me at the exact point in time when it needed to, because that's what synchronicities do. So the shower scene basically is that what you want to wrap your mind around is the idea of parallel universes. So if we exist in a reality in which there are multiple universes side by side coexisting on the same timeline together, then you can therefore deduce that you could maybe shift between them as you choose. Okay, and in an infinite number of universes, the thing that's tricky about that is that there's an infinite number of them. It's very hard for us to wrap our minds around that concept. What that means is that everything that's happening and has ever happened happens an infinite number of times with minute variations. Um, and so, in with that in mind, what you can then visualize is that you have the ability as a powerful creator and an entity yourself to shift between those realities. So what you do is that the trick is with the shower thing is you step into the shower in the morning. You close your door, you close that shower curtain, and the only thing you can perceive from this five sense reality that we have to explore our world and interpret what we see all around us is what's going on in that shower at that time. If that's the case, because you don't know what's going on out there. Again, quantum physics kind of tells us that you can only view what's observed, and if you want to go with the simulated reality theory, which I like a lot, then it's not rendered, right? Because the reason video games are so in depth and can be so broad is because it only renders what's in front of you or what your character is looking at. The information it takes to process all the stuff behind you or this vast world doesn't need to be there if you're not seeing it. That same idea, if you follow the thought experiment, applies to our own lives. If that's the case, and now if you now are in this shower where all you can see or what is rendered is this small environment that you're in, then what you can do, and what I've been doing is before you turn the shower off, you think of yourself and you visualize yourself stepping into a reality where the goals in which you've already set and are putting work towards are now created in a better way, and you're way closer to your goals, or it's a tsunami of opportunities out there for you to achieve what you wish, as opposed to the last reality when you stepped in the shower that doesn't exist anymore. Now well, it does exist, but your consciousness shifts to the next one. So it gets a little out there, it gets a little sci-fi, but I love it. I've been having a blast with it. And what I told I was on Amy I interviewed Amy Belair, and she's fantastic. She has her own podcast, Third Eye Awakening. Shout out, you guys go check her out. And we were talking about this concept, and so I said the very first day that this happened, I got an email from Neil Donald Walsh's assistant that he would love to come on the show and talk about his new book.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm interviewing him April 5th. I don't know when this is coming out. So the interesting thing about that in particular is because of a couple of things. I stepped out into a reality where that opportunity and possibility came up for me. Now, why that's important for me, and I got the goosebumps going, is because, or what does my wife call them? Duck pimples. Okay. I why that's important for me personally is because Neil Donald Walsh, I don't know if anybody knows him out there, wrote the Conversations with God series. And he's written 39 books in 37 languages. He's a world renowned author. His books actually changed my life. They changed my perception on what's possible. And it was the first book that I read where it just opened my eyes. And I read this as an 18-year-old young man. And so it changed my life. So now I'm 38 now, so 20 years later, damn near to the day, I get the opportunity to speak with this guy that's changed my life and has been basically like a mentor and a hero to me. That's the reality in which I stepped out of that shower into. Now, this can happen for anybody. That's like the thing I really want to impress upon people. There's nothing different about me. We can all do this. Please do this. Just follow your dream, because the best thing about it is when you start thinking about abundance and scarcity and the idea of that, the only reason that's there is for a variety of reasons. Society has told you that that's the way it is. There's a model and institutions in place that benefit from you not knowing your true value or worth, or power. I'll put that one in there too. The other thing to think about on this is that when you do create an abundancy mindset, meaning that there's enough here for everybody, meaning that what I want isn't what everybody else wants. If you want to be a race car driver, cool, go do that. Like, not only is there plenty of that for everybody, but not everybody wants that. Like, I don't want that. That's fine. It'd be fun, but it's not what resonates with me. It's not where my frequency is at. So anybody can do this. Just please create your reality. It's a blast. Like, I've never had this much fun.
The way to look at this is, if you're sitting there thinking, no, this can't work for me, I can give you an example how it has worked. Have you woken up in the morning and gone, oh no, it's going to be a really bad day today? For whatever reason, you woke up thinking that, then your day has been a bad day.
Mhm.
Guaranteed. Now, also, you've woken up some mornings and you think, wow, I don't know what it is, but today it's going to be a good day. And that day has been a good day. So, what you've been talking about there, Brandon, about deciding effectively to step into a world that is full of opportunities and synchronicity and all of the good things. People do that every day, but in a more or less negative way. Oh, I stubbed my toe. That's a really bad sign. Oh, no, my alarm clock has not worked and I'm late. So I'm going to have a horrible day playing catch up all day long. So people are doing it already. They're just not doing it consciously and in a way that can help them grow and achieve their goals and do some really cool stuff.
Absolutely, and it's all got to do with perception. So there's a couple things I'll say on this, and I actually have a Neil Donald Walsh quote that I will tell you about that. So perception is your reality, and the simplest way to put this is that you're welcome to do whatever you want. So that's the beauty of this existence, of this reality, is anything you want you can have on both sides of it. And I only use the both sides of it part because the way you want to look at things is that it either serves you or it doesn't serve you. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It either serves you or it doesn't serve you. So what serves people is, if the analogy where you fall down the stairs, it's not, oh damn, I fell down the stairs. It's, wow, I got down those stairs really fast. It's not, oh, I stubbed my toe. It's, wow, that chair is really sturdy. I'm glad I spent money on that. That carpenter's a good carpenter. It's not, oh, my alarm clock didn't go off on time and now I'm late for work. It's, no, maybe now you get to catch the sunrise and you don't really get to do that often. Or maybe the universe, however you want to put it, maybe you were going to get in a car wreck if you were driving on
Mhm.
time and you avoided that by that simple thing. But that perception creates your reality. So it's all got to do with altering the way that you view things if you view things negatively. So the example I like, and it's a Neil Donald Walsh quote from the Conversations with God book series, is that you can think of something what's considered an ultimate reality, right? Those are things you can't change. The example is rain. So rain is an ultimate reality. When it's raining, you can't do anything about that physically. But what you can do is change the way you view the rain. For the example is that rain. One time, and we can all empathize with this. You're dressed up nice, or you're going out somewhere and it's pouring rain, and so now you're like, damn it, I got all dressed up. Now it's raining, whatever. And you put a negative light on an ultimate reality or something you don't have control over physically. You do have control over the way you see it.
Mm.
You could think of another time. I don't know if you've ever just gone out in the rain after a hot summer or something like that. Finally, it rains, and it's just the most glorious thing. The smell of the rain whenever it comes. If you've ever just gone out with your arms out and spun around in the rain like a loon, it's great. Or you go out and you make out or make love in the rain, something like that. It's now a joyous experience. Nothing changed about the rain. Rain's an ultimate reality. The only thing that changed is the way that you view or perceive it. That's it. But that concept is way more powerful than anybody can ever understand, unless, of course, you understand it like you and I do. So, for the people out there listening, just there, you can wake up in the morning and you could say, "Good God, it's morning," or you could say, "Good God, it's morning." You get another day. You're still here. Every day above ground is a good one, and it's that boundless optimism that, yeah, it'll turn some people off. It's annoying. You're the annoying morning person now. I love being that guy. I don't mind being that guy at all, because what it does is the people that don't resonate at my frequency, I don't interact with very much. I will. I love that. You won't bring me down, but they don't want this. And I'm fine with that. I love it. But there are people out there that do resonate with this frequency. And that is your soul tribe. Those are the people that you come across that you have this cosmic understanding with, and that you can really resonate at that frequency.
Yeah, I mean, this resonates with a lot of the work I do with my clients. A lot of clients kind of have self doubt and low self belief and this kind of thing. And one of the exercises I have them do, because a lot of people don't find it easy, I just say, look, just catch yourself. So if you're about to say something like, oh my God, I just don't know how to do this, don't say that. Say something along the lines of, oh, I'm learning how to do this, or I'm picking this up, or I'm in the process of learning. Just switch. So say the same thing, but say in a more positive outlook. Like you were saying about being late for work. I've got a new opportunity to take my time. If I'm late, I may as well be really late.
Right, right, yeah.
You
Grab
know,
breakfast on the way in,
yeah,
then there's no
grab
problem.
breakfast on the way. Ring the boss and say, look, I'm really sorry, boss, but I am going to be late. I don't know what time I'm going to get in, but I will get in today.
Hmm.
And it's two ways of just looking at world in the same way. Oh, my boss is going to be really mad at me. How do you know?
Yeah,
If you send that message out, because again, the Abraham Lincoln quote, your mind goes where you send it. So if you say to yourself, oh my God, I'm late. When I get to work, my boss is going to really chew me out.
hmm,
That's what you're expecting. And so you're going to walk in the door and that's what you're going to get.
yep,
Whereas if you say, look, I'm late, I'm going to go to work, and however the boss reacts, that's how she reacts. That's her thing. That's not my thing. Yeah. And then you're open to the boss going, oh, you late? Yeah, really tough traffic today. And she might actually empathize with you. I was late as well. You don't know. But if you direct yourself down a negative hallway, that's what you're going to get. Whereas if you're more
absolutely.
open, and it's like we talk about opportunities. So many people walk through life with blinkers on. They only see the same thing every single day because that's how they've kind of trained themselves. And yet all around outside these blinkers, there's all sorts of stuff going on. I want to change my job. I don't like what I'm doing. I really want to change my job, but I'll never be able to change my job. And as they're walking through, there's a great big billboard looking for you, Paul. We need you. And you don't see it because your head's down here. And
You're absolutely right. That's absolutely accurate. Yeah. And it's a metaphor, but it can be also very visual. You can look down, or you're staring at your phone, thinking about, these people have better lives than I do, and I wish I did this, and I wish I wasn't so whatever. Then just do that, and I would say, don't worry about what other people think of you, because now you're judging yourself based on somebody else's existence, which is, and a lot of that stuff they put on social media isn't really real. That's just what they want you to see. It's not the real life of these people. It's just a picture from a vacation. Some of these people take it from other people's photos and post it as their own, and then you're like, oh man, this guy has such a great life, or this girl has such a pretty whatever. Just you do you. You worry about you. I'm a big
yeah,
fan of that.
absolutely. I wrote a post last year and sort of like listed what it would cost you to create a fake, profile. You can hire professional models in the UK for like 20, $30 an hour. You can hire a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce, especially if you're not going to drive it anywhere. If they drive it to a location and then just leave it and then pick it up 2 hours later for a couple of £100, a couple of $100, you can knock on the door of a big mansion and say, look, I'm doing a photo shoot. Can I just take some shots around the place? Do you mind? Or if it's empty, you can just do it anyway.
Yeah,
So for less than kind of like, for a few $100s, you can pretend that you live this incredible lifestyle. You can go to a marina that has all these flash yachts, and you can stand there, and if the captain's there, you might even get on the boat for nothing, just
yeah.
have some pictures taken. You can fake the whole thing, Or like you say, you don't need to do that these days. You can just scroll through the internet and take pictures from various places. But so what? That
Yeah.
some people live that lifestyle. I worked with a guy a few years ago now who was a helicopter pilot, and he does stunt work for movies. But his main bread and butter is during the summer season, he will be given a helicopter, usually like a six-seater helicopter. He'll fly it down to the French Riviera, and he will park it on one of these ginormous luxury yachts for a Russian oligarch, and he becomes a cab driver. He says, "Look, all I do all day is I sit on this yacht full of semi-naked young girls, yeah."
Rough life.
And the guy goes, "Take these girls shopping, will you? You know, they're boring me." So he'll get in the helicopter with five gorgeous women, take them into town, sit in the helicopter till they finish doing their shopping. You know, it says, great
That's
life,
pretty cool.
pretty
That's
cool
pretty
life.
cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. A couple. Go ahead. My
No,
apologies.
no, go, 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 go.
I was going to say a couple of things about the industry that you were talking about, because yes, it is a very real thing. The people want to be perceived as something that they are not, but I think that it's got a negative and a positive, or what serves me, what doesn't serve me element to it. So what doesn't serve you, if you do embark on an industry like that, or you take those people up on um, manipulating your profile in a way that it's not accurate, or that's the way you want to project yourself to the world, would be is that you need to do that. What would serve you to do that would be to take a couple of pictures and then stare at them, put them on your vision board, visualize yourself living that life that you really, really want. Don't I would encourage folks not to do something like that, to fake other people out and then to say, well, I'll never have it, but this was nice and I can put this out, because you can't have that. You can have anything you want. It's got to do with your mindset. So the positive spin that I would say on it is, yeah, that's a great way to kind of put yourself in that environment, have those feelings and experiences, have that picture that you can see of yourself on that boat, and then say, here we go. This is what I'm doing my goals for. This is what I'm working so hard for. And then that's a great way for you to visualize yourself in that environment.
That's the magic phrase there. That's what I'm working towards. It's
Right.
no good building a vision board and having all these cool pictures you taking sitting on the yacht surrounded by gorgeous women. If you're not doing whatever it takes to get you there in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time, then you can spend a lifetime staring at those photographs and nothing's going to happen.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing will happen at all. And you mentioned The Secret. I read that book and I saw the movie. I said to myself, I get it, but there's one element that nobody in this movie is talking about. They all give the impression that all you have to do is stare at your vision board. All
Yep.
you have to do is carry the magic stone in your pocket and stuff will start. I mean, the famous scene, I love it. There's a woman walking past a jewelry store and she looks at this necklace, this piece of jewelry, and she's kind of like all envious about it. So she loves it. And then she kind of walks past it again and she's wearing it
Yeah.
as if like she just flicked her fingers as in sprinkled some magic fairy dust and all of a sudden she's got it.
Right.
Just not going to happen like that. You have to, you know, she could have scrimped and she could have saved and maybe got a second job, done some investments, and in 5, 10 years, depending on how costly that thing was, she could have bought it. But nothing happens without you doing the work.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Now, there is also an element to what I believe, the idea that I've got about everything, and that's that everything vibrates at a certain frequency, and the universe, or you, because we're ultimately the universe, whatever, vibrates back at that frequency. So the challenge in what they didn't express in that, and I agree with you that there's some flaws in the execution, not in the model. They didn't tell you that whenever you vibrate at a frequency of I want that, you're pushing it further away from you. And the thing about that is that you want to vibrate in a frequency of which you already have it. Again, Neil Donald Walsh. If you want to know what it's like to have something, give it away. Gratitude, gifting. When you're abundant and in an abundant mindset, you resonate at that frequency. When you're in a scarcity, I don't have, or I wish I had, or I want really bad but don't have, that's a low vibration. That's not a vibration that serves you. You've really got to operate from realistic at first, but don't sell yourself short. Another great quote, I'm just full of quotes, is that it's not that your goals are too high and you're missing them, it's that they're too low and you're hitting them. That one to me was really powerful. And I had a friend say something. We were joking around the other day, and he said something like, "Oh yeah, we can buy an island, and you can live on one shore, I can live on the other." I said, "Don't you dare dream that small around me. We'll buy two islands. You can have your own, and then I'll have my own. Don't you dare dream that small around me. We don't do that. That's not where my frequency is. I don't even want an island. I don't even necessarily like the beach, but it's a mindset thing.
There's a quote, I can't remember it directly or who mentioned it, but something like, if you reach the stars and don't hit them, you, at least you'll get to the moon.
I
Meaning
like
that
that.
if you dream big, yeah, and you don't actually achieve that mega dream, at least you're dreaming big and doing the things. You will get somewhere close to that massive dream, so your life is going to improve dramatically.
And if nothing else, you're further than where you were. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
it's the people that sit around, and unfortunately, that, like I said, it's not anybody's fault per se. Maybe this is the show that people hear that really empowers them to say, "Well, damn! I mean, if this hillbilly from Texas can do it, with this non-regional diction, he's said y'all like once, then I can too." And it's a big thing. It should be empowering. We should be out here giving people back to themselves because we do live in a world surrounded by institutions that don't want you to know your true value and your true power. Uh, Wake up from that. It's the Matrix unplugged. If you want to use that metaphor, that's fine, but your life is your life and you only get so many spins around the sun, so enjoy them, do what you will with them, do what you want, work towards your goals. Don't sit there and say, well, I don't have it and I'm never going to have it, because you're right. I mean, you're never going to have it if you feel that way. But if you feel like, well, at least I'm working towards something, at least I'm closer today than I was yesterday, and it's the small goals that create momentum, and that momentum is what creates your reality.
Yeah, and don't say it's not fair as well,
Oh
because if you say it's
God.
not fair, that's kind of like saying, well, you mentioned the, looking at other people's lifestyles. Well, they've got it, and I'll never have it because they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth or whatever. Daddy gave them all the money. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe that is true, but maybe you're the person that becomes the daddy of your dynasty. Yeah,
yes. Yeah. And
but, it ain't never going to happen unless you actually get off your backside and start doing the work.
it's like Elon Musk said, I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that work for me did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
On the quote train, bro.
Yeah, on the quote train. Another one for you. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I love
Oh,
that. I
I
love
love
that.
that as well. Yep. I love that as well. My rule whenever, or my ask whenever I was a touring musician for 12 years, toured China. I was all over the US and stuff. It was a lot of fun. My rule with that is if you're going to play in my band, you have to be better than me. And it was, man, I attracted Juilliard people. I had no business being in the room with these people. And I attracted Juilliard violinists and people who got accepted to Juilliard that played bass. Phenomenal drummers, absolutely incredible musicians that I surrounded myself with because it brought me to that level. I don't want to be the biggest fish in the pond. I want to be the guy that is surrounding myself with people that push my boundaries and that motivate me to be better. It's a big deal. It's
Yeah,
impactful.
always, always, always have, let's say, synchronicity and have good people, your soul tribe, and people that are going to push you and help you to grow.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're
And a
in a
lot of
room full of low level people, you're going to stay low level
yep,
and you're going to absorb their low levelness, which is not a
yeah.
word I know, but I can't think of a better phrase.
It is now. I love that low levelness. I like it. No, that'll work. Low
Oh
level.
dear. Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the Matrix Unplugged, and also we talked about parallel universes. The conversation that we had last week kind of went off on this track of because you're not a conspiracy theorist, you're a conspiracy
Analyst.
analyst. That was it.
That's
So
right.
you look at an alleged conspiracy, and you kind of look at it from all different sides,
Sure.
and you kind of analyze the pros and the cons of whether it's real or not. Is that a big part of expanding reality, the podcast?
Discussing ideas of any faction is the idea of expanding reality of the podcast. That's what it's all about. It's about all kinds of stuff, man. But I am a big fan of those thought experiments. Now, when you say don't exist or allegedly exist, there's actually been a lot of conspiracy. If you're not watching this, shame on you. Conspiracy theories that air quotes that have been proven true. The Bay of Tonkin was a big one, the one that got the United States into the Vietnam War. Nobody was backing that. They had what's called a false flag called the Bay of Tonkin. They lied to the American public about it, and it's a reality. You've got the Tuskegee experiments having to do with vaccines from the 40s to the 80s. It lasted for 40 or 60 years. And that is where they took African American men and they injected them with syphilis. Our health department injected them with syphilis for over 40 years, telling them that it was a vaccine to cure syphilis. And it was a massive experimentation on this whole sect of people. These are the things why, in which, whenever something pops up that is questionable, FDR knew that the Japanese were coming to attack Pearl Harbor, and he ignored it on purpose to get us into World War II. So these are the things that, whenever you look at them and you break down the data, they're very real. Our government does lie to us. They do not have our best interests at heart. They are into the means of controlling and perception management. So whenever we say allegedly, yeah, there's a lot of alleged ones, but I put these into different classifications as well. You've got some that are like the moon landing, and we could talk about that all day if you'd like. That's a fun one. But you've also got things like the Mandela effect. It's fun. These are the more cosmically, yeah, you can go real deep with these things, but it's not as serious or dire as something, let's say, like a 9/11, or like what's going on right now with this whole uh, COVID, whatever, however you want to look at it. But there's a lot of red flags that go off whenever you look at things like this, and there are reasons for the government to do this. It's a model called problem, reaction, solution. So what they do is they create the problem, the public reacts, and then they already have a solution ready because they knew that you would react to it. But all it does is further push the mechanism of control. Now, these are things that do happen. They're very, very, very real. And the more you look into them, the more it can scare the shit out of you, to be honest with you. But I've come to a place recently to where, yeah, we can talk about the moon landing and where that splinters. Yeah, we can talk about the Bay of Tonkin and all of that. But I don't think that it serves me any longer to be negatively impacted by those things, because there's a great quote that your reaction to the crisis is part of the crisis. So the people in charge, right? They plan on you to react a certain way, and your reaction to the crisis is part of the crisis. So to those people that feel out there that they have to wake everybody up and have to uh, tell the truth, well, the truth is subjective anyway. You're all creating your own realities. We have an ultimate reality of things going on, but I've gotten to the place where it's too damn late. If people were wanting to wake up, all the answers are out there. You could have been looking at this or listening to crazy people like me talk about it for years, and it didn't happen. So I'm off of the train of waking people up. I'm more onto the train of giving people back to themselves. So as far as the conspiracy analyst part of it goes, yeah, we could talk about all kinds of cool stuff. Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect? Do you know what that is?
No, I've not heard that. What's that?
Okay, so let's break this off. I'll make it very reductive. Mark Gant and I talked about this on my show, and it blew his damn mind. It was fun. So, very cool guy, by the way. Go check that episode out, guys. So, the Mandela effect basically has to do with CERN. Okay, and the theory states that CERN, the Large Hadron Collider,
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah. In
whenever it kicked
Switzerland,
on,
yeah.
whenever it kicked on, it shifted us into a parallel dimension because it destroyed the dimension that we were in. Now, this is very reductive. Somebody figured out on the internet that they thought that Nelson Mandela had died in prison in the 80s and never lived to become president, right? So, but he actually, in this reality, became president. Now, there's a few of them, and a lot of them have to do with logos. Again, this goes back to the idea of, if there is an infinite number of realities, that you can shift between them, and there's slight differences between them. Well, what a lot of the population, or a good amount of the population, observed is slight differences and from the way that they remembered things from the, air quotes again, old reality. So let me give you an example. Are you familiar with Star Wars movies at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so Star Wars, the line whenever Darth Vader is with Luke, does he say, "No, I am your father," or "Luke, I am your father"?
I think it's Luke, I am your father, in the scene right at the end where they're fighting. Yeah.
Hmm. So you're going with Luke, I am your father?
I believe that's the one.
Never happened. It's "No, I am your father." Let me give you another one. So Snow White, whenever she looks into the mirror, does the witch say, "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all," or "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all"?
Well, the one we all hear is Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, but I'm guessing it's the other one.
It is the other one. Yeah,
Yeah.
"Mirror, mirror" never happened. So it's these type of things, little logo changes, little stuff like that. Same. Another great example is the Monopoly Man. Describe him to me.
This the guy, the one with the big top hat
Yeah, from the game.
and waistcoat and such like.
Okay.
Big
Anything else?
foot.
Any other?
I'm guessing big mustache and beard,
Okay. Anything on his face that you can remember?
monocle.
Never had the monocle. Isn't it trippy? So the interesting one with this is one of those low level ones, right? As far as dire consequence goes. Because if we did shift into a parallel dimension, most of us didn't know, and we're having fun with it because now we have
Yeah.
memories, or some of us have memories of things being different. There's a bunch of fun ones, man. There's all over the internet. You can find tons and tons and tons of these things. It's one of those thought experiments that I really enjoy because people do misremember stuff, and it's just called the Mandela effect. You guys can Google it.
One thing that I shouldn't enjoy or find fascinating is the stuff that was a conspiracy theory, but over time the information's been released, like The Men Who Stare at Goats. You see that movie?
Yeah, yeah,
I love that movie. To actually think that there was a unit in the United States military, probably the British military as well, that believed in all of the cosmic stuff that you could do, like trippy 60s stuff, and remote, what's it called?
remote view.
Remote viewing. And so that was the big thing they were trying to do, wasn't it? Remote
This was
viewing.
a this was a real program. This did happen. The Men Who Stare
I
at
mean, that's
Ghosts
what
is
I'm saying.
based
Yeah, it
on a
did.
real story. Oh,
It
how it
was
came out
kind of,
later as being real.
it was a secret. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah,
And people like heard about it and they heard rumors and thought it was a bit weird. And
yeah,
then with time and the release of information, Freedom of Information Act, what have you, people got bloody hell, it's actually true. They
yeah.
did pay people to sit in rooms and remote view and stare at goats and all kind of bizarre stuff. You
Yeah,
know,
it was Russell Targ, and they did that program. They've actually got a great book. I've got it called Psychic Warrior. And it was fascinating what they were able to do with this. And Russell Targ has even come out. He was the progenitor of that program. And there was guys like Pat Price. I want to say that they had Yuri Geller, the guy who could bend spoons. They had him involved in it. And this was a very real thing where they found actual people with abilities that are unexplainable and utilized them to the benefit of the government. And the reason they did this wasn't to explore the idea. The reason they did it was because they heard that the Russians
yeah,
had people
it
who
was
were
a
doing this.
counterattack.
Absolutely, but they accidentally stumbled onto something incredible with that. And that's another thing, again, excuse me, that we should be looking at. There's some great books out there. The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot and Into Upside Down Thinking by Mark Gober. These are guys that have taken data from actual science and scientists and said, well, there's actually remarkable things going on that have quantifiable data that we can see all sorts of crazy stuff happening. And that's the stuff that we should be looking at. It's this idea of that the science is settled is that's another good conspiracy analyzation thing that you can go down because the science is never settled. That's not a thing. Science should never be settled because
The
there's always
scientists themselves say that, don't they?
yeah.
Science is always changing and growing. It's only true today because somebody has done an experiment to prove it to be untrue.
They do say that,
Yeah.
but I don't think that they act on that. The reason is because if you're a scientist that based your entire life and your 30 years and your tenure on an idea that you were able to duplicate in a lab that was actually just a theory based on a theory based on a theory that wasn't provable. There's a lot of things like that. I can't think of any examples, but there's tons of them. Like gravity. Gravity is a theory. We don't know that that's really what's going on. The inner core of the Earth. We don't know what that looks like because we can't get there.
Mm.
It's a theory, but it's taught in your science books as fact. The problem with ideas like that is they don't allow you to explore any further. And then if you are that tenured guy with 30 years of tenure experience and you've based your whole life on this, and then somebody comes in and proves it wrong, well, there's a bit of ego involved in it as well. And to that whole the science is settled and well, a scientist said this, so it must be true. Scientists are people too. They're just like politicians. They can be bought as well. I think that we're seeing a lot of that with the research and the knowledge and stuff that's coming out about what's going on with our planet currently with this current pandemic or whatever. There's
You
been
can
a
go
lot of
you can go back 100 years. Well, not 100 years, not quite 100 years, but Einstein and Niels Bohr had huge arguments about work that they were doing with was it string theory and quantum theory, and it was basically because Einstein didn't want to believe that they kind of negated his work and come up with this whole thing. And
yeah.
people, because Einstein was quite famous at the time, people were kind of like siding with Einstein until there were three guys. Niels Bohr was one of them. I can't remember the name of the other two. And they got together and they did all this research. And we look, there you go. We've just demonstrated that what Einstein's saying isn't the right. And Einstein really got the hump for a long time. It took him to kind of like accept their work.
Yeah, they get butthurt about it. And the thing about it is the science should never be settled. It should be something where you invite your peers to come in and prove you
Mm.
wrong. And there it should be a more conducive environment with, again, ego taken out of it. It's an ego thing. It's a, well, I was right, and I can't be proven wrong. And then the problem is then they expend, a lot of scientists will sit there and die on that hill is a term that I use to describe it, because they won't move the
Mm.
idea forward or move on to another idea that they could move forward. They spend the rest of their life defending that idea and telling everybody that they were right the whole time, even though that they're wrong. So it's a, there's still a friction in there. I think that we just have a lot of faith in these people that do this.
We're all human. That's the problem, is that we all have the human traits, all have the human. Well, I mean, it's got to be difficult. I'd find it tremendously difficult if I'd spent my entire life working in one field and I was like the expert on this thing. And then some young 25-year-old grad student comes along and goes, actually, Mr. Wilson, I've just done this work and I'm really sorry, but you're full of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I would do my utmost to kind of destroy this person, because you're just saying I spent my entire life doing this thing and you just come, you know nothing.
Mhm.
And that would take an incredible person to actually go, all right, okay, show me what you got. Let's have a look at it. Sit down, let's go through it and prove me wrong. There are a few scientists throughout history that have done that, but like you said, the vast majority, they've got their thing, they stick to it, and they kind of like got it tattooed on their chest, and they
Yes.
die with it, unfortunately.
They do. And I don't think it's necessarily a human thing. I agree with that that is a component of it. I think it's more of an institutional thing. So
Okay.
it's the idea of science and scientists being paid for this and tenured for that, and not being able to scrutinize or ask about their work. They have the illusion that they want their work being challenged and that they want to be proven wrong. They don't. And the institution isn't conducive to that. Plus, yeah, you start getting rock star status like, Neil deGrasse Tyson or something like that, and he won't even look into the idea of what is found within the pages of Holographic Universe about the psychic research. They think it's all horseshit. And the problem with that is that there's actual data out there that's been verified that prove that these things are accurate. The problem is it goes against their worldview, on their
Mm.
fixed, rigid worldview. The guy's written tons of books. I mean, he's all over the place. He wears really cool ties. It's one of those ideas that I think we need to be more open and conducive, but we've got to mature as a society. I think it comes back to kind of an institutionalized thing.
Yeah,
That's the issue.
yeah, I like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast a couple of years ago, and Joe asked him something along the lines about alternate theory, shall we say, and he kind of like went, "No, it's bollocks," yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, that's really sad.
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's unlikely. Show me some evidence.
Yep.
He just said, no, it's a whole kind of crap. Don't even listen. And I thought that is really a real shame. And I'm surprised that you say that. I would have thought you'd have gone, okay, I don't believe it personally, but show me some evidence, give me some, some stuff to work with, and I'll see where it goes, kind of thing. But no, it's like,
There's been a lot of guys like that. I'm not going to throw any names out there because you guys can find these guys for you if you'd like. But there's been a lot of scientists that I respected, revered, have their books, read the hell out of them, watched all the podcasts and all the interviews that they gave, and loved it because of that science part of it. Then they come out later after something, Mark Gober's book, An End to Upside Down Thinking. I highly recommend that book for anybody interested in anything that we're talking about. He goes in there to have quotes from people such as who we were just talking about, and others that I've again revered, and have I've really changed my mind about not the work that they've done, but the work that they're unable to do, about the limiting perspective that they have on other things, because it does challenge the work that they've done. And again, it's this cycle, it's this chicken and egg thing. It's this, well, my idea is right. It's made me millions of dollars, so why the hell would I change it or even
mm,
entertain, or even like you said, be a little bit self-deprecating to the fact that maybe I don't know everything, and maybe there are still a lot of mysteries out there for us to solve that are a little bit counterproductive or counterintuitive to the things that I've established my career on. I like I said, I think it's a big issue. I've actually lost a lot of respect for a lot of those guys just based on that idea.
no, I agree with you, because if you think about it, it's almost like the end of the world. If you say there's nothing more to learn, there's nothing more to study, then okay, well, somebody must have just pulled the plug and we'll stop the place spinning around anyway because there's no point. We are built, we are curious animals. This is what has got us so far.
Yep.
We're kind of like sticking our fingers into the electrical socket.
Mhm.
Ooh, that hurts. But
Yeah.
we learn, that's who we are. That's our nature to discover and explore. If you think about it, if we weren't like that, there'd probably just be like 30,000 of us living in caves still,
Sure. Yeah.
around,
Absolutely.
scattered around the planet. We wouldn't have moved and explored and traveled and discovered and done stuff.
Yes, but I think on a deep, deep, deep level, if we want to go real deep, which I will now, then it's all divide and conquer tactic. It's all one thing that is contrived. It's designed that way. We're not supposed to figure out the secrets to the universe. And on a deep level, if you want to go even deeper, and I will now, it could all be a damn simulation. It could all be just a game. It's just a ride. I mean, you're out here to level up. You're out here though also existing in this world where people are at different levels, not good or bad. This is not a I'm at a higher level than you, so shame on you. It's we're having different experiences on the same plane or on the same globe or the same flat Earth. I know you're a big flat earther, Paul. Um, on the same flat Earth plane that we have here, and it's one of those things that maybe we're all just experiencing different things, and there are institutions in place in the game that you're here to figure out and beat and level up.
Come on now, Brandon. Stop saying
Uh-huh.
institutions. Say the truth. You're talking about the Illuminati, the reptiles dressed as old
Mm,
white men smoking cigars. Just stop hiding. Stop pussyfooting around the edges.
yes,
It's those
that's
people.
it. It's definitely the Illuminati, the Freemasons. Yeah, it's all of that. They're in a back room right now doing weird handshakes, doing all kinds of weird stuff that I don't know if we want to talk about on your show. But it's yeah, no, that's what's really happening. It's interdimensional reptilians that live in the inner Earth. Everybody knows this. I mean, I didn't know we had to. The sky's blue.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't know
just thought
that.
it was standard information. Like the Earth revolves around the sun and all that. But no, apparently not.
Nope, it
But
did
it's
not.
last week we were talking about whether what we're experiencing as life is a simulation. And I came across a video from a scientist whose name escapes me right now from a couple of years ago, where he's kind of demonstrated that we cannot scientifically at the moment tell the difference as to whether this is real or whether it's an actual simulation, like he talked about in game theory. That we're in some kind of like hologram, or maybe we don't actually even exist. This is just our memories in some little tiny, I don't know, laser disc kind of thing floating
Sure.
around the universe somewhere.
Yeah, so this one's fun. This is another one of those really, really fun ones because it doesn't make any difference, right? It's inconsequential to your day to day life,
Yeah,
but it is
absolutely.
really fun to think about. So, if we want to go really deep with this, I think the gentleman you were talking about, he actually found a mathematic code to the universe, and he was talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson about this. It was on a symposium panel type thing. It was that the video that you saw?
No, there was an interview, so maybe this was
African
something else
American gentleman.
afterwards. I can't remember.
Okay, that's okay. You don't see color, you're better than everybody. We get it. But I would say that there's also a guy named Nick Bostrom, and he is actually a theoretical physicist, absolutely brilliant guy. He wrote a book on AI, but he also has a lot of thoughts on the simulation theory, and he broke it down into mainly three things. So basically, that the possibilities that we're living in a simulation, you can break down into three things. Number one, a civilization either never gets too technologically advanced to create a simulation because a simulation computer to be this interactive and in depth would take like a planet-sized computer. Is kind of the
Mm.
analogy that's used. So they either never get to the point to where they can create that, either an extinction event happens from the cosmos, an asteroid or something, or we just destroy ourselves, or we just everybody stabs each other until there's two people left. That guy stabs each other, and then we're all dead. Or the second thing is that we get to that point technologically, or any civilization. By the way, this doesn't have to be humans because we could just be a simulation in some octopus's simulation that they created because they're much more advanced technology. Um, so number two is that they get to that point technologically and don't destroy themselves. They're all fine. They get the technology, but they choose not to run the simulation. So they're like, yeah, we could. Yeah, let's just go do something else. The third possibility, though, is the most interesting. If a civilization doesn't destroy itself, if they get to the point to where they can create the technology, and then they choose to turn it on and run a simulation, the odds and the probability of you being a simulation more than the original is trillions to one. You would be a simulation within a simulation within a simulation. So that idea is fascinating to me. I love that concept because again, it doesn't change anything. This is an illusion, but albeit a a persistent one.
I would disagree very slightly because coming back to what we were talking earlier on about synchronicity and the shower experiment stepping into a new world, if you wanted to believe that we lived in a simulation and not a reality as such, then that means that you can do whatever you want because it's a simulation, just like a game that
Yeah.
you're playing, and you can go to a level, up a level, up a level, up a level. You can set the craziest goals and do what you need to do. There's actually nothing stopping you because it's a simulation. So
Well, all of that could be mathematically programmed into the simulation. So it can all be, you can have like gravity, right? Because even in like a video game, if you're playing a video game, you've got rules. There's rules
Mhm.
there. You can't just go fly off all willy nilly. Maybe there's a cheat code that you can figure out. Maybe that we just haven't figured out the cheat codes yet. But there are examples and cases of people, human beings, doing extraordinary things physically with their bodies, like what these monks can do about taking heat and channeling heat into their hand and then making one part of their hand extremely hot and one part of their hand extremely cold. That's a superpower. That is something that physically most people are not capable of. They aren't limited by the construct, right? They're not limited by the idea of this rigid reality that has to be this way. Things like the dualistic nature of reality, dark light, hot, cold, gravity, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe they're just built into the construct of the simulation. Maybe the simulation's like, okay, right, they're going to grow about this tall to this tall. There's going to be trees and shit. There'll be dogs. They'll have fun with that. There'll be gravity. The sun will do this. Maybe that's just part of the rule structure of the simulation. It doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't exist. It can be explained mathematically.
Yeah.
But to
You heard
your
of a
point,
guy called Wim Hof?
yeah, and his breathing techniques, yeah.
He's not a monk, but he can do things that the monks can do. He's been in, they've had him in laboratories and he can do all that kind of stuff. They've actually injected him with some kind of viruses, and his body's just like killed it off in no time.
Yeah.
He's a fascinating person. I would love to meet him. I'd love to talk to him because he's run marathons on around the bottom of Everest in a pair of shorts and sneakers
Yeah.
and
No,
survived.
yep. It's a
How
very
do you
mind
do
over
that?
matter thing. It's a
Yeah,
mind over matter thing. Because I'll tell you how. Because he knows he can.
yeah.
That's how. Uh, there, like I said, there are things that we kind of are limited by, or seemingly limited by, just simply due to our beliefs, our belief system, where we grew up, our environment, how we perceive ourselves and our place in reality. Again, this has a lot to do with the abundancy scarcity mindset thing. If you're an abundant mindset, you can do anything. If you say, I want to run around Everest in shorts and no shirts and not have my nipples fall off, well, then you can do that. If you train enough, if you believe in yourself, if you get the right training, you can do that because there's clear examples of people doing that. I think in the future too. I mean, maybe there's some people out here that can freaking fly around the planet. There's been videos of allegedly humanoid beings in the sky just kind of flying around and floating around. What if those are people who have kind of hacked the matrix and they've got a cheat code or they've figured something out that we don't? Or what if it's just a fake video? That's of course entirely possible as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I'm fascinated by, which I've not been able to achieve yet, is astral projection.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because there are so many accounts, there are so many experiences, there are so many, practices that I really firmly believe that it's actually an achievable thing to do. I've just not been able to get there yet. Because imagine being able to do that and
Yeah.
travel to places without, having to leave your bedroom and actually go and see things and experience things and do all kinds of bizarre things.
So that's your ultimate. That's what you would choose to do.
Mm,
It's easy. Go to Jade Shaw. She's on Instagram. I'll send you a link to her stuff. She does classes and trains people on how to do this. It's very achievable. So what you want is achievable in this life. It's easy.
yeah, absolutely.
Bam.
Just
What
the right
else?
kind
What
of
else?
practice. Yeah.
That's it. That's the biggest one. That's
No,
all you
no, no,
want.
no, no. That's not the
Again,
biggest
it's
one
not
at
that your
all. No.
goals are too low. It's they're too low and you're hitting them, Paul Wilson. You and your flat Earth are limiting your beliefs. Don't
Yeah,
you
I
dare
know.
dream
It's the
that
flat Earth problem. It's
low
like,
around me.
I've got to start pumping that up, get it to go round again, so I can
Mhm.
start bigging it.
That's right. Don't you dare dream that low around me, brother. You set them goals higher. I love this.
Okay, okay. Listen, listen. Talking about goals, what are one of your big goals? What's one of the biggest? Where do you want to take Expanding Reality podcast over the next 3 4 years?
Yeah, to the moon. My goal and my thing is am grateful because I'm in the current this is what's happening mindset. I am looking forward to continuing what I'm doing now, which is getting to talk to anybody I want about anything I want. Anybody wanting to listen, because I've got phenomenal feedback in the 13 episodes that we put out, and it's been that's the goal, is to do this full time and expand it even bigger than that. I've actually got a children's book series that I'm writing with a buddy of mine. I've had the idea for about 10 years. I've just never put it into action, and now that I'm in this abundant wave of opportunities, that will be executed here very, it's being executed now. So that's a big one. I've had the idea, like I said, for over a decade now. Then writing my own book as well, just about concepts such as what we're talking about now, and kind of the story of the podcast. It's a thing to where I also like to be able to connect people together. And my goal on earth is to give people back to themselves. Now, on an individualistic level, I have some great conversations and some great feedback with people in my immediate circle. What I've figured out is that I've got a voice that I want out and want to be heard because of the feedback again that I get back. The thing, actually, what I call my studio is Cerebro. Are you familiar with that reference from the X-Men?
Yeah, it's Cerebro goes into a room, puts a hat on, and then it's a big, vast, empty room with loads of stuff around the edges, and he kind of creates this. I'm use the word imaginary because I can't think of another word fits, but there's everything in there. He knows everything. He connects to everything.
Right. So Professor Charles Xavier has this power of
Yeah.
being able to influence people mentally. And when he gets into Cerebro, what that does is it amplifies his power to everyone on the planet. That's what my studio is. Charles Xavier, this is Cerebro. This amplifies my voice and my message to everyone on the planet. That's what it feels like. So that's it. That's the goal. And what's great is I'm already living that. I'm already speaking to anybody that I want. Nobody's unreachable. I've actually really figured that out from this. You can talk to anybody you want. You can have phenomenal conversations with great people. It then just expands from there, and that's what expanding reality is all about: is discussing different ideas, bringing people together, giving people back to themselves.
So who you said reaching out to people, you can reach anybody. Who three people that you would really, really love to have a conversation with on your podcast? Who would they be?
I've already done it. So I've got more. Of course, I've got an infinite number of
Yeah,
people, but the
sure.
three that I really wanted to was when I found you online. That was a big one. So not just because I'm on your show, you're a big one. Another one that I haven't recorded yet. Well, actually, I've recorded but not released, was Amy Belair. Fantastic interview. You're gonna love it. She's phenomenal. Then another guy that I've got coming on that I'm interviewing this week is Dr. Michael P. Masters. He's the guy that has the book called Identified Flying Objects. I read it right when it came out. And he is an anthropologist and an archaeologist by trade. And so he looks at the UFO phenomena from a very academic point of view. And he hypothesizes my favorite hypothesis. And his perspective on it, the way he talks about it's my favorite of my favorite hypothesis. Whether it's true or not, we don't know, of course. But is that UFOs are actually time machines from the future coming back. And so that's one of my favorite ideas about it. But his breakdown on it is fascinating. So he's been a guy that I've been wanting to talk to forever. Got him booked next week. Then James Fox, the director of The Phenomenon, which is the most popular documentary movie about UFOs right now out. Just did a thing on Joe Rogan. He's coming on my show. Neil Donald Walsh, man. Neil freaking Donald Walsh, the biggest influence it's been on my perception. Got him booked. These things are booked. It's not a, well, I wish that maybe I should. You reach out, you ask, you put it out, you reach out, you have the vehicle in which we can have these conversations, and then you just achieve it. That's it. This is what's given me the confidence to step out into new realities every day and say, you can talk to anybody you want. Just create that reality. Just go for it. And you don't know if you don't try.
When we were chatting last week, we were talking about, do we check our stats and stuff like that? And we both said, no, we don't check our stats.
Now,
I had a couple of conversations with people that are friends, air quotes, on Facebook. And I had lots of conversations last week. Two in particular stick out because the first thing they said was, "Oh, Paul, thanks for reaching out. I love watching your podcast. It's brilliant. The amount of people you got on there." I was like, wow,
it's
this is
cool.
amazing. It's so cool that
Yeah.
people that I'd never spoken to before have made no indication whatsoever that they know I exist or my podcast exists. Actually, the first thing that comes out of their mouths via typing is, love your podcast. And that made me feel that, oh wow, that's so cool. I've got to do more. I've got to just keep doing it. Because it's
Well,
just,
you
I
do a
just
great
love these
show.
conversations. Thank you.
Yeah, you do a great show, and see, you're doing what I'm doing, which is you just want to talk to interesting people and have wonderful conversations, and you can do that. Like you can do that. Look at us, we're doing
Well,
it
we're
now.
doing it. We're doing it. Yeah, it's twice now.
Twice now, and I'm grateful for it. And I'll have you back on my show, man. We'll just swap back and forth. This has been fun.
Yeah, yeah, you got to. I'm guessing you're going to go for lunch soon, haven't you?
I'm fine. It's up to you. If you want
Oh
to
yeah,
wrap
cool.
up,
No,
you
let's keep
can. If
talking.
not,
No, 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 no. We're
yeah,
good. I'm good. I've got no. It's 20 past 6. It's dark outside, but I've got no sort of schedule. So let's just keep going.
I've got an interview in a couple hours, but I'm fine. We're good.
Okay, yeah, let's
I
keep
love this.
talking.
Yeah,
So listen, for people, and I'll put myself down there as well, that find the whole idea of being able to manifest, I'm going to say in the right kind of way that makes it work for you. Give us some tips and ideas and suggestions of how we can start doing that to get us on the right path.
sure. And I can only do that from my perspective, right? I'm no guru. I don't have
Yeah,
all the answers. I
I'm not
really
saying you are. You don't even look like a guru. So let's.
look at this. Look, I have my little hair up right.
Yeah, I
Didn't,
noticed that when you turn your
oh,
head to get the water. Yeah.
it's it's not good. Anyway, so I will say that
Um,
you're to the way that you put it is perfect because you said to do it in the right way. Now, what people need to understand is that you're manifesting constantly all the time. So you might as well manifest what you really, really want and not what you wish to avoid or what you fear most, because that's what a lot of people do because it's a very subconscious thing that subconscious actions are 95% of your day. You don't think about 95% of what you actually are doing when you're driving. That's a subconscious
yeah,
action. A lot
yeah.
of people are just checked out. When you're sitting there watching TV, you're receiving subliminal messages from the TV constantly, and you don't even realize it. So I would say start surrounding yourself and choosing to focus your attention on things that serve you and that don't that and avoid the things that don't serve you, right? So that may be turn the gory movie off. Stop watching things that are not conducive to the reality in which you want to achieve because that has a large impact on you, whether you realize it or not consciously. Okay. The other thing that I do, and this is a big one, and you said something about The Rock, but I agree with that part of it for this reason that there if we go back to the idea that everything is frequency and that you vibrate at a certain frequency, the frequency you want to be in the most would be gratitude. Because if you're grateful for even the small things that you have, shoes on your feet, a roof over your head, if you don't have that and you've got all your limbs, sweet. If you don't, you're missing an arm, you've still got another arm and two legs. There's so many things to be grateful for that gratitude is a frequency that you resonate at. That has to do with abundance. And I've said abundancy versus scarcity mindset a lot on the show, but it's something that I want to really hit home that is those are choices. You could choose to be abundant and have that mindset and be grateful for what you have, no matter how big or small. And you can choose to be of a scarcity mindset, saying, I'll never achieve, I'll never do, I don't have. Those are vibrational frequencies. Change your frequency, shift it. And you can feel it when it happens, which is the best part. You've got an indicator. You've got a way of realizing that this is what's going on with you. Gratitude is a big one, and so you can wear like a bracelet or keep a little stone in your pocket. It's called a gratitude rock or whatever. Every time you touch that bracelet or even look at it, think of 5 things you're grateful for. I woke up this morning. I've got a beautiful head of hair like Paul Wilson here. I've got clothes on my back. I've got shoes on my feet. I've got running water, and boom, there you go. Now you go on about your day. That sends a frequency out. It's a vibration that sends out into the universe, if we want to put it that way. Same thing with the gratitude rock. Put a little stone in your pocket, whatever, a little crystal if you feel good about that. That's fine. Just whatever you want. Anytime you stick your hands in your pocket to whatever and you touch that stone, think of 5 things you're grateful for. Start there. When you start there, what you've done now is you've shifted that frequency from scarcity to abundance, and it is an exponential, beautiful ride after that. And I highly, highly recommend that that's where folks start. And just like we talked about on the show, on my show with you, the watch your speech. Speech is spells that are being cast into the universe, magic with a K, right? And whenever you are speaking, you are creating things into existence. So it's thought, speech, action. Those are the way that you create. But thought and speech are not things that people really think about, but they're 2/3 of the way of creation, right? So if you pay attention not only to what you think, and that has to do with your gratitude and catching yourself, like you said, Paul, I think that's brilliant. I've started using that. Thank you. To say, okay, I'm not going to feel this way anymore, or that doesn't serve me, so I'm just going to move on. That's how you start, and then your speech. Stop saying try. You are a do-ceratops, not a triceratops. Go do and be. There is no trying. If you try, that's again another resonant frequency that you are putting out into the universe. That if you want to look at it incredibly literally, which I don't think anybody's really brought to a lot of people's attention, is that if you say the universe takes you very literally. Now, what you're going to find is whenever you decide to switch this, you're going to notice that you do these a lot. And it's going to be frustrating. Don't get frustrated with it. Keep moving forward with it because the recognition, the frustration is part of that thing that's kicking you in the ass to move you forward. So whenever you say try on a very literal sense, because the universe takes you incredibly literally, you will experience trying. You experience what you put out. So if you say, I'm trying to find a better job, you're right. You are trying to find a new job. If you say, I'm trying to make things work out, absolutely you are. The universe takes you literally. You are trying to do that. You're not succeeding at it because you're resonating at the wrong frequency. Now, this is a tricky one, but it's also one of the ones that is the most important. It's the second thing in the three ways to create anything. You because you can create anything you want, and that's why I said to the idea that people are already manifesting their reality. They're just not manifesting what they want because they don't know how to do it, or they're choosing not to. Either way is fine. It's no skin off of our back, right? But we would encourage people to live the kind of lives that they want because we have seen the results in our own lives and we see that this is what works. We have a roadmap. We can tell you, don't worry about all the stuff that we had to do to get where we are. Start here because you're starting about 20 levels ahead of where we were. In some ways, this gives people an advantage because they didn't have to go through the trial and error like you and I did. They just go, oh, we'll just pick it up here and then move forward with it. So gratitude. Stay there. Your speech, watch that. Don't say going to or trying to or any of that. Exist in the state of happening. It's happening now. That's also a resonant frequency that gets shot out into the universe. And then your actions. You got to put in the work. You got to just decide what's important for you and what's not. If sitting on the couch and watching TV is pushing you closer towards your goals, then do that. If it's not, and maybe you want to reach out to somebody for an interesting conversation or you want to learn a new skill, then do that and resonate with that. Say, I'm learning a new skill. I wish I could learn because then you're going to exist in that state. It's very literal. You're going to exist in the state of wishing you could instead of doing, be a doer, not a trier. Just go for it, guys. It's this, that's it. It's all up to you. This is your life. You only got so many spins around the sun. Create the one you want.
I love that phrase, only so many spins around the sun. And it is, how many times do we have to say to people that this is true? This is not a buy one, get one free. It's not a 7-day trial. It's none of those things. As far as we are aware, this is the only life that we have, as far as we're aware. There may be other possibilities, but at the moment, in this current period, that we only have one go at this. So why sit and be miserable? Why say to yourself, I'll never be able to X?
Mm-hmm.
Why not just say, screw it? That's what I want. That's what turns me on. I really, really get a buzz when I think about that. Do everything that Brandon's just talked about and start your journey. Start on the path. It's highly unlikely, to be fair, that sitting on the sofa in front of the TV is going to get you where you want to go. It's unlikely, possible, but unlikely. But Googling how to do this thing you want to do, who's the expert, and talking to these people and finding courses and doing the practice, doing the training. Let's say something really simple. You want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger did when he was in his prime, when he was in his 30s, yeah?
Yeah.
You read his books, you learn all about muscle building and diet and nutrition and exercise. Hopefully you do it without the steroids and all the other stuff, yeah? You do it the clean way, shall we say,
Okay.
and you do it. Yeah, and over time, not in 6 weeks, not in 6 months, but in 5 or 6 or 10 years, you will have that ginormous physique.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're, if you want to become a physicist, if you want to become a quantum physicist or a mathematician or whatever it is, there is a path that's clearly defined, that's clearly laid out, whether you're 18 or you're 75, that you can do it.
Yeah.
But it has to start with you wanting to do it, not wishing, because
Yep.
wishing is, it's like magic fairy dust.
Yep.
As far as we know, there's no such thing as magic fairy dust that's going to
Sure,
make
there
you.
is. It's on the flat Earth. The reptilians gave it to us. Everybody knows this, Paul. Come on,
Sure.
man.
Listen, you can talk about some stuff, but other things are.
Oh, we can't break that veil.
You
Got it.
can't break that veil. They're not ready yet. They're not ready yet for
Starting
that.
small. Start with gratitude. My apologies.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
back. Go.
yeah. Magic fairy dust is later. Oh man, come on! You're going to get us into so much trouble with the reptile guys now. They're going
I
to come
know.
visiting.
They're gonna be upset. They're gonna
I
drag
wanted
you.
a quiet night.
Yeah. You'll get a quiet night, and that
Yeah,
camp
too
they're gonna
quiet.
take
That's the
you
problem.
to. Yeah.
No, but yeah, there's no such thing as overnight success. That's what I'm saying. Like if you watch any of those, America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, you see this. Oh look, yesterday she was a barmaid, and now she's just been signed to a $20 million record deal because she's got an amazing voice. I guarantee that if you look at that person, every weekend for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, she's been doing karaoke night. She's been singing down the pub. She's been having lessons. She's been doing the church choir. She's been doing all of that stuff, but nobody's recognized her. Now she steps onto the big stage. Some record producer's sitting there going, "You're amazing. Sign here." So yeah, okay, she's that night you saw her, she suddenly become famous. It took her 20 years for that overnight success.
Yep.
So there's no such thing as that. But you can be that person. If you want to stand on the stage and sing in front of a million people, you can do it. But it takes time and effort and dedication and sacrifice. You're going to have to give up your night sat in front of the TV or whatever. Because you're going to be practicing, you're going to be training your voice, you're going to be whatever it is it takes to get there.
Mhm.
But it starts with the desire. You saying to yourself, I want that Lamborghini. I want to be on stage singing in front of a million people. I want to meet the reptile people. Whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, you'll meet them anyway. They're gonna drag you out of your house, so you'll get that wish, buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a great song by a guy named Zane Williams, and it's called "Overnight Success." I would recommend anybody listen to this song. He's a little Texas country artist guy, very very cool artist, and it is about this exact same idea. He said, "Everybody calls me an overnight success, but they don't think about the years of touring that it took, or the 10 years of doing this and riding around in a van with 5 dudes, and sleeping in that thing." There is a process to it, but it all started with a decision and an idea.
Mm.
These people that, like you said, pop up out of existence, they don't pop up out of existence. They pop into your reality because they've been putting in the work, and they're there to set to to be a signpost for you as what you can achieve, not what you'll never be able to strive for. They just started a little earlier than you. It's all possible, man.
Yeah, yeah. Everything. Well, okay. Let's put a kind of caveat on this.
I've
I'm
thought about
si-
the caveat.
Yeah, yeah. I'm 60. It's highly unlikely that I'm going to become an astronaut and fly to the moon in a NASA spaceship. Okay,
So to that
because
point, there was a movie made about this with Clint Eastwood and with Tommy Lee
oh
Jones, and
yeah,
it
the
was called
cowboy. Yeah, but they
Space
were all
Cowboys. And
ex-fighter
damn it,
pilots and
that's
ex.
okay.
Yeah.
They still shot their old asses up there. That whole cabin smelled like Ben Gay. Somebody lost their teeth mid ride, and they got to space. Damn it! So you guys shoot for the moon. Go for
Oh, there it goes. There goes my caveat out the window. So I'm just going to shut up and let him
it. Just
talk.
that
Yeah,
one, but I
because
think your basketball player example is probably pretty apt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah.
the one. Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm 60. I'm about 6 foot tall. It's highly unlikely that I'm going to get a call from some coach in the Chicago Bulls. That's an NBA team. Hey, Paul, well, I'm the boss of the Chicago Bulls. We want you to come and play for us. Yeah, here's $200 million. I've got a jet waiting for you at Heathrow Airport. Fly over now. I'm
That
never going to get that call. Okay.
well, that's flawed because they start you with $199 million. Everybody knows that. That's actually the only issue with that whole situation.
Oh, you're not going to let me get this out, are you? No,
I'm not. No, no. Go ahead.
I give up. I'm a white flag.
That's right. Don't resonate at that frequency. You guys can do any damn thing you want. You want to go to space?
Anything. Yeah, he's saying it. If you
Shoot
want
your
to,
old ass up there.
just please, 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 don't think you can fly and walk to a cliff and jump off without any kind of parachute kind of thing. Because
Yeah,
I
don't do
do
that.
not guarantee. Yeah.
No, no, no.
No,
We can
no, no,
guarantee
no,
what will
no.
happen, and it's not good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because at the
don't do that.
moment gravity exists and gravity will grab you, then bottom.
That's
Okay.
right.
So yeah.
In
No,
this
no, no
simulation,
Superman impressions, please.
the simulation takes gravity pretty seriously.
It
So
does
you got,
indeed. Yeah.
yeah,
Simulation really. Let's got that toned right up.
yeah. It's 11. Yeah. This is fun. Oh, Wilson.
Oh, give us another subject quick. So I can't stop laughing.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about the moon landing and how that's fake as hell, or we could do.
Let's
I
talk about people achieving impossible things and keeping the kind of
yeah,
that
yeah.
flow going. Yeah,
I like it.
because I think that's really good. Let's talk. Do you know of anyone who we were just joking about me never been playing for the NBA yet? Do you have any examples of people that have done of that kind of thing that have been out there and told no, you can never do this, you can never do that, and then
Yeah, well, if you think about it, Colonel Sanders didn't do the chicken joint thing until he was like 75, 60, something like that.
he was 60s, I think. Yeah, yeah.
60s. Okay, so then there's that. So that's a never too late story. There's been a lot of people who say people can't do things and then people believe them. So that's a big tricky one.
Mm.
It's the people who say you can't do something. That's just somebody, honestly, that it's a good thing you found that out so you can get them out of your life. You can go, oh, okay, well, you're resonating at that frequency. I'm going to go resonate at this one. Just do small things to keep moving forward and keep resonating with your frequency.
I don't have any names because my memory at the moment is not as brilliant as yours, but there's painters who have started painting in their 70s and their 80s, and suddenly their work is just like being, oh my God, I've got to have this, and it's become very, very valuable. There are
Sure.
people who have written books late into the 80s. There's one guy I read who had written a book in his 90s and it became a bestseller.
See?
And he actually wrote, yeah, yeah.
I love
Uh,
it. It's never too late.
there's a guy called Tom Moore who died recently. He was 100 years old, and he raised something like £30 million for the NHS, which is our health service over here, by walking up and down his garden. Yeah, as like a kind of challenge thing. He
So
raised
just
that, and yeah, and he was like nearly 100 years old.
see, so you can make all that money by just remaining upright. I think that
Yeah,
that's great. That's fantastic. Just don't fall down.
yeah, just
You guys
unbelievable.
motivate
It's still doable. I mean,
one foot after the other.
yeah, he just said, look, I need to do something, and he did it.
I love
Incredible.
that. And he was capable, and so he did it. And in a
Yeah.
small way, with a small thing, he made a large impact. I love stuff
Absolutely,
like that.
yeah, yeah. And there are lots of people that we're never going to hear about. People that go to university in their 70s and their 80s, and they graduate a university degree in all kinds of different subjects.
Yeah,
And people do it because they have an interest in it, or they never had the opportunity. There are a lot of women I've read about who go to university in mature years, and people say, "Why did you do it?" Well, so I've raised two families, and I've supported my husband through his career. It's my turn now, and I always wanted to go to university. I couldn't go; they wouldn't let me go when I was a kid. I'm doing it now. You
yeah.
know?
To the way that somebody can start with this, I would definitely say the things that we talked about. The gratitude for sure. Watch your speech and then take action. So let's just
Mm.
use the example of a painter, because there's probably somebody out there who wishes they could paint. But what they're experiencing right now is not the ability to paint. They're experiencing the reality of wishing to paint, which they're getting exactly what they want either way. So what you can do is there's a great book by Tim Ferriss called The 4 Hour Work Week. And it's one of those that whenever you read that book, there's a lot of things in it that are pretty mind blowing. And one of the takeaways that I would like to employ to people on a very small level, you can do this anytime, is if you watch TV for 2 hours a night, okay, take one of those hours and research painting schools in the area. If you watch TV for 2 hours a night, then instead take that hour to paint something or to start sketching. It doesn't have to be Picasso straight out the gate, but at least you're moving forward. At least you're doing something. And what you're doing is that you start to trade off that time. Now what you'll find is that 2 hours that you used to watch TV at night, you don't even miss it. You now only resonate with what you really want to do, which is paint. Now you started painting 2 hours a night. Now what you do is you sacrifice 30 more minutes of your sleep a night to paint for 2.5 hours. Then what you do is you keep doing that, keep moving forward. And to the point of like my day or whatever, whenever I come home, there are evenings when I just want to sit down and read a book, or I just want to sit down and watch TV because I'm not, I'm human too. But what resonates with me and motivates me more is to get great content out with wonderful people. And what that requires right now is me spending the time that I do in the evenings instead of watching TV to create my reality and to push forwards towards my ultimate goals and dreams because I'm living them now because of what was at first perceivably a sacrifice, but it's no longer a sacrifice. Now it's a choice. Now it's something I don't even miss that crap. I really don't. So just do that. Just constantly in small ways. Start moving towards your goals. Start trading off time where you had habits of doing something else for something that you wish to be doing instead.
Keep talking. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I want to show you something. Keep talking.
Okay. So this is the Paul Wilson Show. Everybody hang out. Oh, look at that chair. That's nice. What is that head over there? If you guys aren't watching this, then shame on you, but you need to go check this out. Paul's a great dude. You guys write Paul in to his Happy Head Instagram or his podcast, Paul Wilson Coaching, and tell him how great he's doing because he's a wonderful dude. Oh, he came back with something. What is this? Did you make this?
Okay, I'm back. Right, you talked about learning to draw straight into paint. I've always wanted to learn to draw.
Hey, there you go. I didn't know that.
But I've never made the time, and I've always thought, I can't draw the wrong perspective. One of the things I thought about, it takes a lot of practice, and sketchbooks are very, very expensive, and you get a few pages. So
napkins are cheap.
Wait, I've been reading this book.
Oh, there you go.
Brilliant book, okay? And he said, get yourself some wrapping paper because it's cheap
there you go.
and you can practice. So
I
spent £10 on a piece of wrapping.
Like butcher paper.
Yeah, to wrap presents. This side is all the stuff that I've used so far. It's look, I'm just one way. Hang on. Oh, back to front. My camera, you see, my camera's arse about face. There we go. You probably can't see that, but look at all the scribble and scroll.
Oh, yeah.
Look at it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
That's how much I've done so far with this. Now, you imagine how much that would have cost me if I'd have bought sketchbooks.
Right.
That's probably like $100 or more in sketchbooks there. But I paid like $10 for this.
And to this point, I want to make a point though, because saying you can't afford something, saying you can't afford something puts you in the negative state or that lower.
Was they're expensive? Like the 12 to 15 pounds for a few pages. Practical.
What I would say is you don't want them, okay?
No,
because that still resonates at a frequency. So the expensive and things are too much. That's a tricky one because that is one that we can all on a certain level kind of empathize with. What I would encourage people to do, because I've done this myself, is instead of saying I can't afford that, say I don't want that. I don't need that.
Yeah.
So what you found is a better option because that's cooler. It just happens to be more inexpensive. Now you can buy all the sketchbooks in the world because you're an abundant person.
Absolutely, but this is more practical and it saves. It's cooler. Yeah, it's cooler. It looks good. I can keep this. It takes up no space and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I like it better than the white paper. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's that abundancy mindset. You couldn't not afford something else. You chose to buy that instead because it was a conscious choice. You can afford anything you want in the world at all times.
This allows me to test and experiment and not to have to worry about using stuff up. So I'm not, because it's going on for miles, this thing. I don't know how many meters, probably 100 meters. Can you imagine when somebody says practice? Okay, I will be practicing for 100 meters of paper. That's a lot of paper. And that's got to be like a meter in depth as well, like a yard in depth.
Yeah, and what I like about the concept is there's no, because and think about this too, when Picasso first started or Leonardo da Vinci first started, wouldn't you love to see his trial runs and where he started? So what you're doing is you're creating a legacy with documentation. It's on paper. You've got it. And you've got like crappy, like, look how I used to draw an ear, oh, that was so horrible. But look at that. Now I've got it. And then you have kind of a reference point. So start drawing shitty ears right now and then take a look at them in a year. And then take a look at them in 2 years, but hang on to all that stuff. So be grateful for the fact that you're just putting momentum and energy into something that you want to do, that you're choosing to do.
And the thing is, I'm not actually even drawing ears and stuff at the moment. What I am doing is is stuff like this.
Oh,
Just
cool.
because
Yeah.
this is just used to getting used to holding the pencil the right
Right.
way and applying pressure and where to hold it and changing hand holds and stuff like this. Because I tend to hold a pen kind of like that, but I'm experimenting with holding it here and in different ways. And when you do this, when I found that because I don't write anymore, I type everything. I get a lot of tension up in here because I was holding it like this. But now with this experimentation, I've found ways that I can draw for longer periods of time with no stress on here simply by messing around with how I hold this thing.
See,
It's
what's cool
great.
about that is that is great because now you're doing these small actions and you're building
Mhm.
small skills and awareness. And what you're doing is you're rewiring neurons on a scientific level, on a biochemical level. You're rewiring your neurons not to be a dumb zombie in front of the TV. You're now challenging yourself to hand-eye coordination and proprioception
Mm.
and concepts like that. So now that's what you're dedicating your time to and rewiring your brain to think about. I love that.
Neuroplasticity. I love that
There you
word
go. Yeah.
because there's a cliche in the UK you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and they've proven that to be completely wrong now.
Ab-
And I'm a really good example of that because I'm learning stuff. This is all about magic, doing magic, but it talks about this as being not the kind of magic abracadabra, pull a rabbit out the hat kind of stuff, but real physiological and psychological and using that subconscious, that 95% of this big piece of brain matter up here. And this is what I'm doing. I'm also teaching myself not to be a fortune teller, but how to use stuff like this
The
as
tarot
a
card.
coaching mechanism.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm learning a whole lot of history about the cards and their significance and stuff like that. But they're becoming a really useful tool to for coaching myself
Mhm.
and kind of looking at what I'm doing and thinking, okay, is that a good path? Is that a good path? And it's not magic. It's not me being a psychic, as in like let me tell you your future kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of like almost analytical. I'm still at the beginning stages. So I've got a long way to go, but it doesn't matter because I'm enjoying the process. It's fun,
Right.
learning new stuff. Creating those new grooves going along.
Hmm. And it all just started with a choice. It's all just a decide to do it.
Oh
It's
man,
fantastic. I can't empower people listening out there enough with this. Just do something. Do Ceratops. Get out there and do it. Learn tarot. Get a big piece of paper and draw on it. I think it's awesome. I think
yeah,
it's all wonderful.
we are where we are today because of every decision we've made up until this moment. And
Absolutely.
if you're in a place you don't like, you can sit there and carry on and say, I don't like this place. Or you can say, you know what, I don't like this place. I'm going to do something to change it.
Yeah. Use that as a motivator, not as a depressant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's
Yeah.
always possibilities. Only if, well, no, the possibilities are always there. You might choose not to see them, like I
Right.
talked about earlier about having the blinkers on or living inside your phone, but they're there. It's
Absolutely.
you just have to choose, make that decision to do something different. And it doesn't even have to be your kind of end goal. I mean, I'm doing this, I'm doing these things, and I might think in, 6 months from now, you know what, it's not working for me, I'll do something else. But it doesn't matter. I'll have learned a new skill. I'd have met some cool people through doing this. And you never know, this may become my new thing, but it might not. But it doesn't matter.
But
That's what I'm
it's
trying to
new.
say.
It's different and it's cool
Yeah, it's
because
different
it's
and it's
cool
cool
to
and it's
you.
fun and it opens a new door.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't do this, something, let's say I'm doing this now, I might meet some really cool people and go off on a completely different tangent. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I've interviewed a couple of astrologers on the show. I'll hook you up with these
yeah.
people. They're cool as hell,
If I
and it's
didn't do this,
fascinating.
then those opportunities wouldn't have come. That's what I'm saying. So
Mhm.
let's say, for example, you want to do a course. You're not sure whether you want to go to university, but you're really fascinated by astronomy.
Yeah.
Do a course. Find yourself like you said, do some research. Find yourself a night class where you can go for a couple of hours a week for a month to find out whether you really, really want to get and learn more. And you're going
Yeah.
to go, and two things are going to happen. You're going to meet some cool people,
Yeah.
definitely, and then
For
you're
sure.
going to find out whether or not you want to carry on with this thing. Is it the thing you really want, or actually no, it's not astronomy, it's biology, or it's physics, or it's something else. But it doesn't matter. You will have learned some cool stuff by done those 4 nights, and it just opens up more opportunities. But if you sat at home watching the TV, you're not giving yourself those opportunities.
Yeah. And even just like something as simple as walking around with a sign for an hour that says free hugs.
Yeah,
Now what you're doing is you're benefiting humanity on an emotional level as well, but also now you might meet some really cool people that are like, you know what, this is so cool and it's so interesting that I ran into you because I'm looking for a very altruistic person to kind of run this thing that
yeah,
I've got working on, and you create so many opportunities for yourself. It's unbelievable. Like I said, when you view the world as nothing but opportunities, that's all you see. It's brilliant. And follow your synchronicity. Things don't
yeah.
happen for no reason.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Follow those little things in life that pop up that you're like, oh, why did
Yeah,
I think of
yeah,
that?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you why. We met because of a synchronicity. We met because a video of yours popped up on just a random feed on Instagram. I said, man, that dude's cool. And it was just one of those things. Now, not only did I happen to just open my phone that right then, because I don't spend a lot of time on it, but I opened my phone right then. Your video popped up. I clicked on it to check it out. It was dope. I clicked on your page. I messaged you immediately. Now we're old pals.
Old
And
pals.
it
Yeah.
these synchronicities that now allowed this connection and this interaction here, and I love it. This has been honestly one of the biggest secrets is I don't see things as accidental. I see everything as purposeful, and I follow the synchronicities where they lead.
And the other thing is, we talked about learning to paint and learning to draw. You might find that you don't like what the work you produce, but it doesn't matter because if you're in a class, you will have met some really cool people. One of those cool people could become your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or a really, really cool friend, or somebody who'll introduce you to somebody else and you go, oh my God, you do this. I've always wanted to try this.
Yes,
So simply by learning to paint has opened up your world in ways that you would never have imagined. And that's the whole thing. So it's not necessarily the thing, it's
hmm,
what is the opportunities that the thing puts in your way.
it's the energy. It's the
Yeah,
frequency that you're
yeah,
vibrating at,
yeah,
which is one
absolutely.
of
Yeah.
abundance. And another interesting part to that too is that you know social media, for all of its follies, it actually has some good benefits as well. There are groups on Facebook groups. Join a few of them about painting. Start connecting with people. Start talking to them about their art. Start liking only art pages and only immerse yourself. We're just using the painting thing as an analogy. You can do this with anything,
Yeah.
making beef jerky, whatever you want. Um, do that and just resonate in that frequency. Make that all you see. Don't skip over the people getting in fights videos and stuff like that. That does not serve you. It does not resonate at the frequency in which you want it to. Search for only that which you want to pay attention to. Only pay attention to that, and what you give your attention to is what starts to manifest in your reality. And that's the truth of it. That's the easy hack.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really good point. A lot of people complain that they're just seeing bad stuff on their feed, on, let's say, Facebook, an example. Well, you can tune that out. It's very, very simple. If somebody's posting stuff you don't like, unfollow them. If you have to stick with them because they're a family member, just unfollow. If they're
Yeah,
not,
you don't unfriend. They can't tell
just
that.
friend them, and do that every single time and only react to stuff, like, comment, and share that, etc., on stuff that you want in your world. And I give you a really, really cool hack. You see this chair? My old
Talk
chair
about
had
that chair.
literally died. It
Yeah.
was like, it was uncomfortable, it was hurting my back. So I invested in this. I did some research. And of course, the instant I typed in chair,
Yeah.
looking to
Oh,
buy a chair, all my feed on Facebook was trying to sell me chairs. Okay. And it was really amusing because there were no chairs on my feed at all, not even a glimmer of a chair on my feed. The instant I went onto Amazon and started looking for chairs and then Googled it, my feed was just full of them. So use that algorithm to your advantage. So using painting as an analogy, start typing in, Degas, Da Vinci, Dali, whoever you like, and like Brandon said, painting groups and what have you. And suddenly, as if by magic, your feed will fill with just art stuff. All the ads will start wanting to sell you paintings and paint gear and lessons and stuff. And then all the nonsense, all the negative will disappear
yep.
simply because you're interacting with art only, and that's all you see.
Yeah. Exactly.
Same
It's
with
brilliant.
Instagram, same with all of them. It's just a brilliant little hack that if
Hmm.
you're sick of seeing certain things, get rid of those people and find stuff that you want in your life, and then that's what you'll get.
Right. And I would encourage less time on that, more time outside, more time with tactile
Yeah,
things
yeah, 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 yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
environment. But for the time that you are on it, make it something that you choose for it to be, because you do kind of design that. There are things that'll pop up every now and then. Just either unfollow. You can even there's the three dots at the top. I believe you can tell it to stop sending you notifications like
That's
this,
it. That's the
or to
one.
stop
Yeah.
sending you things like this. You're actually now deliberately saying, I don't want this anymore. It doesn't serve me.
I'm just looking for something because talking about what you just said about getting outside, I had a conversation last week with a lady called, where is she? Uh, she's in season two. There we go. Jenny Bailey. Jenny is a collaborative author, written a book about bees and about a children's book about bees and about nature. And we were talking about something that I just love this phrase, forest bathing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard it, I just had this brilliant sort of image come up of people in swimming costumes
Yeah.
in forests, kind of doing the front crawl and the back stroke with big smiles on the face and all this kind of stuff. Of course, it's nothing like that, but it's kind of similar because when you swim, you immerse yourself in water. And
Mm.
the idea of forest bathing is you go out into nature, you go into a forest, and you turn your phone off and you just go into it and you enjoy the experience, the smells and the sensations. You touch the trees and pick up the leaves and stuff like this. Yeah? Getting out into nature again, scientifically, it's been proven it is so good for us to get out into nature. One thing that I teach people who are struggling with, say, anxiety, for example, is grounding.
Grounding. Yeah.
Take your shoes and socks off
Yep.
and walk on the grass, walk on the sand, walk on nature. Don't walk on concrete because that's not nature. But if you walk on grass, sand, mud, whatever it is, you're reconnecting with the earth. And I don't know how it works. I don't know the science behind it, but it
It,
does feel different. You do feel connected.
there's,
Absolutely.
the science is there's actually ions exchange going on with the planet Earth and with you. So there's a magnetic field that we all resonate with, as well as the Earth has its own magnetic field. They're complementary. So what you're doing is trading ions with the Earth on it's very scientific. So it's not woo woo and new age, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. And I love doing that, man. I'm a big proponent of grounding. Absolutely. Good call.
Yeah, it's grounded. It's really, really cool. I mean, I'm lovely. I'm in lovely. I know I'm lovely, but I'm
No, you're
lucky.
definitely lovely.
What I meant to say was I'm
You're
lucky because I
lucky.
live.
You're lucky you're so lovely.
I know, it's terrible. I live literally about 10 minutes away from the seafront. And, you know, I go down there, take my shoes and socks off. And part of it is environmental protection. We've got a lot of the beach is little pebbles and stones, which
Mm,
is a little bit uncomfortable. There's a big stretch of beach which is sand, and that
mm.
is lovely, cramping the old toes and stuff. But there's lots of
Sure.
patches of grass and there's public parks around here where you can actually walk on the grass and get your shoes and socks off and do that reconnecting. I guarantee you that if you've never done this before, last time you did it when you was a kid, get out there and get into nature, take your shoes and socks off and feel the difference. And you'll feel better, you'll feel calmer, you'll feel more relaxed. Any stresses and strains will start to ease away simply by taking your shoes and socks off and reconnecting with the ground, with the earth.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, set goals for yourself. Feel yourself achieving your goals. In that mental state, when you're now resonating in that vibration, send the vibration of what you really want to be doing or choose to be doing along with that energy. That's how you shift your frequency. It's all about frequency. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all about frequency.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's a good way to dial into a new one.
It's a great way actually thinking about it because you've reconnected, you've relaxed, you've de-stressed,
Yep.
and yeah, it's such a cool way. And one thing I'm thinking about right now, and it's something I've never done before, but part of my work I do is I'm a hypnotist, hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
So I've just thought of actually if a client needs help with achieving new goals and doing new stuff, I can actually get them into that relaxed state where they can kind of get back in touch with their subconscious and start letting ideas bubble up to the surface about where they want to be, what they want to do, what they would really want to learn, and all this kind of stuff. So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just give me a new line of inquiry to follow.
That's what it's all about, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Loving
Listen,
ideas.
yeah, we've been talking now for 2 hours.
Oh, okay. It flew
Yeah,
by.
unbelievable. And again, it's just like that, it's just flown by.
See, time travel is possible, and we're doing it right now.
Yeah, I actually seriously believe that time travel is possible, not in the sense of going backwards and forwards, but we have control of how we use time and how we manipulate time. Like all you must have been a kid in school and looked up at the school clock,
Yeah.
and you looked at it and you stared at it and the clock doesn't move.
Yeah.
No matter how long you look at that clock, that second hand just does not move.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you've literally been in the class like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I found that now not only do days pass quicker, but entire years pass quicker.
Yeah.
2020, with all the restrictions and the difficulties and the hassle, blink of an eye,
You know
gone.
that's actually got to do with relativity. So for a kid, let's say for instance, not only does time move slower because they've had less of it to experience,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
also like the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas for children takes forever because they
Yeah,
haven't had a lot of Christmases, or whatever. Well, you and I have been on this. We've had quite a few spins around the sun, and so for us, times moves differently because we've got a long line of time to compare it to. So yeah, time travel is a very real thing, and it's all got to do with relativity. So Einstein was right in that respect.
but even with kids though, Christmas Day it flies by. It
Yeah,
seems like it seems like they couldn't sleep because they were so excited that it was Christmas morning, and then suddenly it's Christmas morning. They're up in the presents and Christmas lunch, and then Christmas is gone
yeah,
in
yeah.
the blink of an eye. Even though they haven't experienced that many Christmases, it's just gone so quickly.
Yeah, well, joy will do that.
Yeah,
Excitement and higher vibrations make time speed up. That's why when you're with somebody you love, time flies by because you're
yeah,
resonating in this frequency in which time moves a lot faster. And things happen a lot faster at that pace when you're resonating at that frequency. Like this. I looked up 2 hours have gone by. I've got to pee so bad, but I don't care. And I've got an interview coming up that I'm really looking forward to. And I'm really looking forward to doing this. But it's that this is what I choose to spend my time on. This is where my attention's at. So I'm loving it. And that's why it goes by so quick. But same thing, whenever you feel stuck, because that is a feeling that you are projecting onto yourself, it's not a reality. It is your reality because you're feeling that way. Change the way you feel and then just start moving forward. Now your time will just be consumed with all these amazing things. You'll be a time traveler and you'll be living the life that you love.
you just made a really good point there. They might not have recognized that if you are experiencing time, you're an adult, you've been around for a while now, you've had a few spins around the sun, and time is going slowly. Ask yourself the question, why is it going slowly? Are you really where you want to be? Are
Yeah.
you really enjoying? Now, I would hazard a guess, you're probably not. If time is dragging, if it's like, the clock isn't moving at all, then you're probably not in the right space. You're
Mhm.
probably not experiencing that word that Brandon just used, joy.
Mhm.
Start looking for it. Start looking at, getting time to move faster in that sense because you will love it. Being in joy is phenomenal. It's
It's
like
joy.
sex. Oh, I can never pronounce this guy's name. The guy that talks about flow, being in the moment. Chick
Oh,
sex
the
style.
flow state. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that is so true. We've all been there. We've all had moments in our lives when we're so engrossed in something, we're so enthralled, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, whether it's making love, whether it's creating something, working in the garden. You're so engrossed that all of a sudden a day has just vanished.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
That's 4 hours ago. I started. I don't believe it. I do not believe it's 11 o'clock. And I started this. Yes, it is. And it's because you were just so engrossed in what you were doing that you didn't see time move.
Yeah, it's that being mindful. That
Yeah,
mindful practice is what that's all about, and that's it. When you're doing that and you're mindful, time flies. But it's a beaut. But you'd rather have time fly by doing something you absolutely love than have more time doing something that you hate and that
yeah.
drug out, right?
But
So
it's
yeah,
like
no, I
being
completely agree.
it's like being mindful without deliberately being mindful.
Right.
Say again, using the painting analogy, you could have a piece of work that you're working on, and you're painting away, you're doing stuff, and suddenly somebody comes and goes, "Lunch is ready."
Yep.
What? What do you mean? I've only been here 10 minutes. Actually, no, you've been here 4 hours.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
that can't be true. Yeah,
Because you're in that state, you're creating as a
yeah,
creator, which we all are. That's
yeah.
what happens.
And you become a time traveler.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is just so phenomenal. We have so many opportunities to experience, so many experiences to experience.
Mm.
And yet, a lot of people choose not to because they've got these bloody blinkers on and they
Yeah.
refuse to take them off. And, whether it is the reptile guys locking us back, or I tend to think a lot of times it's we accept that we've got the blinkers on. We know we've got the blinkers on, and we just decide it's just my life is just simpler in the sense with a small s.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
don't take them off,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I
It's
take the
choice either
blinkers
way.
off, if I take them off, it means I've got to make choices.
Yep.
I've got to recognize that I'm not in a good place, and wearing the blinkers on, it kind of makes me forget that I'm not in a good place. If I take them off, then I kind of see all these other people doing all this other cool stuff and things I would quite like to do, but I can't get my backside off the sofa.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people actually choose to be in a bad place. I'll give you an example of this, very clear cut one. When I first started to my business as a hypnotherapist, one of the sort of things I was taught to do was to go into Facebook groups where people are struggling with X, Y, or Z and kind of answer questions and offer suggestions and tips and tricks so I get known. I got kicked out of so
Yeah.
many groups
Yep.
because I would say, actually, you don't have to live like that. You
Yep.
can actually do this, this, and this. And what do you mean? And it was literally a case of my depression is worse than your depression. I've got this and I've got that, and it is so bad I can never. And I couldn't believe it. I
Yeah.
really, honestly, could not believe what I was hearing. It was people were competing to have the worst illness.
Yeah.
My anxiety is far worse than yours. I can't even change rooms and this kind of
It's
thing.
a commiseration thing. I mean, people want to
Yeah,
commiserate. Some people choose to do that. Now, and if you choose to do that, that's fine. It's not. It doesn't. That's a pretty low frequency to vibrate at. But you're welcome to do that because it's your life. You can do whatever the hell you want.
yeah,
If
absolutely.
you find yourself in that state and you're recognizing it based on this conversation, or maybe based on, because this isn't the first red flag that you've had. This conversation came to these people at exactly the right time. This is not something that's an accident, and heed these synchronicities and change your life to be whatever you want it to be. But you could stay in that chat room if you'd like, but that's why you got kicked out. They don't want answers, man.
Mm,
They want to keep feeling that way, and that's fine. There's a group and there's a whole sect of the population that's very conducive to people that want to feel like that and resonate at that frequency, because they're all getting back the frequency that they resonate at, which is exactly that one. And then it becomes an echo chamber. It becomes this redundant thing that it just constantly reinforces
yeah,
itself. And
yeah,
it's not. And actually, some people say, well, it's not easy to break out. Well, it is easy to break out. You make the choice and you break out of it. It literally is that easy. Be motivated and feel powerful enough to know that you are that powerful. Unjoin that group. Cool. Bye. Now you're out. Now you've taken that one step to move forward. Now again, do the gratitude. Watch your speech, and that's how you start moving forward. It is very easy. Take away the idea that doing something like that is not easy, because if you feel like making a move like that is not easy, then you're correct. You're gonna have a hard time with it. If you just simply make the choice and the decision to go, you know what, this is easy. I'm done with this. It no longer serves me. I'm moving on. Then boom, now it's not difficult for you to do that because you've decided that it's not a difficult process.
yeah. It just all comes down to choice and deciding that you don't want to wear that label anymore. You can change your T-shirt in a second. You can go into the room, take this one off, put another one on. It's that easy to change the label that you're currently giving yourself. That I've got X, Y, or Z.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just change it. That's
yeah.
it.
Just remove the
Decision.
label, get some scissors, cut the label off, and you're free. You can just like
Ooh,
unjoin that
literally.
group and go join a painting group.
Mhm. Yeah. Do something better. Do something that serves you. Because you can do anything you want. Why not do something that serves you?
Yeah. Now, anybody that's listening to this thinking these two guys are pontificating, I'm actually not, because this is all stuff that I have done myself and that I am doing myself. And one of the reasons why I love doing these podcast shows is that I get to learn so much. I get to meet some really cool people like Brandon here, but I also get to learn and share some really cool, helpful information and different approaches to things. Yeah,
Sure.
because like
Yeah.
Brandon said, we've all heard this stuff before. We've all had the red flags before, but all it takes is just one nudge, and you go, or one different approach, and you go, bloody hell, what he just said about joy and time travel. I never thought about that. Yeah, my day just go by so slowly. That's why it is.
Mhm.
So that's just you know this, but it's just a different approach, a different way, and that's why I do these things, because one person may be watching this show who just suddenly gets that. I'm not going, revelation is too big a word, but it gets that nudge that gets them moving. and making different choices, making an improved choice of how they want to live.
Absolutely. That's it. It's just a choice. So move forward, guys. And like I said, this did not find you by accident. You found this at a deep subconscious level. You found this show and are listening to these words on purpose. You want your higher self is calling you to engage in this type of activity. So just do it. I mean, what do you got to lose?
Absolutely. Now, I'm just going to Google something because I've forgotten this guy's name, but it's a brilliant little book and I haven't got it to hand. I should have got it to hand earlier on. Come on, Google, do as you're told. Where are you? Hang on. You right? Okay. So the luck factor, the LUCKFACTOR. Richard Wiseman, Professor Richard Wiseman is a cool dude. He's done some really, really brilliant research. He's a psychologist, British guy, and he wrote this book a number of years ago called The Luck Factor. And he actually spoke with loads and loads of people some people who said they were really lucky, some people who said they were the unluckiest people ever. And he interviewed them all. And he found out four main categories of things that people did to become lucky or to actually become unlucky. And one of them is what we've been talking about all day today. Well, not all day, but for the past couple of hours. And that was deciding that you're a lucky person. And he did the research, he followed these people, he did all kinds of work. And it turns out that just by simply saying that you are a lucky person will start making crazy things happen for you. Yeah, crazy things. Like, if you're looking for a new job, if you start thinking about being lucky and really thinking about what being lucky does and what it will bring to your life, it gives loads of good examples of what people have done. It's a brilliant little book. It's really cheap. It's like less than $10. The Luck Factor. It's a fabulous little book. I highly recommend that anybody who's feeling unlucky or who's feeling stuck, listen to what we've been talking about, but also read some scientific proof that's been, peer reviewed, all that kind of stuff. It works. Think yourself lucky and you will become lucky. But manifestation, as Brandon's been talking about.
You know what's cool is I've never heard of that book and I've never heard of this gentleman, but I will make you a promise right now. You and I will do a conference with Dr. Richard Wiseman about his book, The Luck Factor. I'm putting it out
right now. Put it out there. That's great. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Okay. You and I are going to start contacting him from our respective ends, and let's just move forward. And whoever gets the interview first, that's whose show we do it on.
Yeah, brilliant. That's
fair?
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's actually a really good challenge for me because I'm not going to say I just haven't considered. I was trying to think of the right phrase to put this in. I haven't considered contacting people who I would class as being up there. Yeah.
Nah, nobody's up there. We're all human.
Yeah. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. This is how I used to think. But chatting with yourself, Brandon, has made me realize now that the 6 degrees of separation and all that. Reach out to this guy, find out, and get him on the show. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, let's just do that. Where's he from?
He's a British guy.
Dr. Richard Wiseman.
That's it.
Isseman.
Iseman. Wise as in a wise man.
Oh yeah. Okay. This fella.
That's him. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna follow him, message him right now. We'll see what happens. I know what's going to happen, actually. We're going to talk to this gentleman because we already have our future selves know this, and it's going to be, we had a blast, and I'm really looking forward to it. And this is one of those things because I just now did a Facebook search for this gentleman. We're reaching out to him. We will follow this, and this is one of those suggestions. We just mentioned something. We figured out how to contact him, and we're following through on it. And now we have a wonderful conversation with this man about something we just talked about. That's
the same thing.
That's the speed in which the universe works. And it's great. I highly recommend anybody just reach out to people. Nobody is unreachable. You can talk to anybody you want.
And this is a really great experiment because making this work, we've just had this conversation now. We hadn't sort of pre-planned this or anything.
Nope.
We get to talk to this guy. You, the viewer or the listener, and if you're not watching this on YouTube, shame on you.
Shame.
And if you want to know where that comes from, you've got to ask, yeah? it'll be, it will demonstrate it. So I'm just looking to Instagram. Where's my search button? There we go, Richard Wiseman.
Hashtag Dr. Richard Wiseman.
Yeah,
Yep. The luck factor. There we go. Okay.
yeah,
There you go. I think we'll find an email for him that shouldn't be too hard, and let's reach out. And like I said, our future selves are laughing their asses off right now and high fiving each other because of how awesome
found
this
it.
whole thing
Mr.
was. 'Cause this is how
Wiseman.
you create your reality right here. This is what you do.
Yeah,
You have an idea, follow through and execute. Don't think did we at any time in this say, well, we're never going to be able to talk to him. He'll never come on our little shows, and he won't want to talk. No, it's we're that's it. We've already talked to this gentleman in the future that we know this. This is what's giving us the confidence now to do this. Like you can look at it that way. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
and I just thought of something. I don't know how it happened, but I actually got two copies of his book. So after the show, if you give me your address, I'll post you a copy.
Now we're talking. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Actually, there's
Uh,
no point in me having two. I can't read two copies of the same book at the same time. So what the hell?
sure you can. You're a Deuceratops, brother. You can.
Yeah, I want to read two copies of the same book at the same time. That's like
And
really logical. Yeah.
for the people out there that don't know that, there's a little meme that I sent to you that I'm glad you embraced, by the way, because you're like, "Yep, it's mine now. I'm gonna send it," because it was ridiculous,
Yeah.
but it's fun, it's corny, but it's on your Instagram now, and so you guys go check that out on Paul Wilson Coaching at Instagram.
Yeah. Do Sarah. I love it. It's brilliant. It's just a really cool little meme.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm going to go and eat now because I'm getting really hungry and my
Yeah.
throat's starting to dry up and I've run out of water.
Oh no.
So let's call it a day here. I mean, we've been talking for like 2.5 hours almost, so I think it's about time.
Sure. Well, we got plenty to talk about, so we'll do it
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Last
yeah.
time we'll talk.
Listen, Brandon, it has been, as always, a blast chatting to you. Before I go to the thing, where can people find Expanding Reality Podcast? Where can they find you?
Yes, so it is Expanding Reality Podcast. You can do the email there at expandingrealitypodcast@gmail.com. On YouTube, you can go watch our video together. It's already posted on Expanding Reality on YouTube. Expanding Reality, the verb, not the past tense, because it's a constant evolution, right? As well as my podcast, you can find damn near anywhere. I think it's on 14 or 16 different platforms. So Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. It's iHeart, it's all over. So just Google Expanding Reality Podcast and you'll find it. Same thing, Expanding Reality Podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter. That's the ways that you can find me. Please reach out. I love interacting with the audience. You guys are a blast. So reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.
Any last quote or phrase or thing you want to say before we end the show today?
Yeah, I don't think you can do it. Just go do it. Go out there, live your life. Live the life you want. You only get so many spins around the sun. Enjoy it.
Only so many spins around the sun, folks. Yeah,
Mhm.
and enjoy them. Do what you can to enjoy them, because that's it. Yeah. Listen, people, it has been a magnificent bloody show. I've really loved it. Brandon, again, thank you so much. And we are now old friends, even though we've only literally known each other time wise for a little while there, but it's been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure.
See you on the next one.